Well, hello there, guys, and welcome to the Post Film Podcast. My name's Mikey.
My name's Ken.
Lovely to see you guys again. We are here to talk about a spoiler-free, then spoiler-filled, don't worry, we will give you a warning, a review straight after watching No Time to Die.
Yeah, the fifth and final in the Craig pantheon.
Yeah, we have literally, so sorry if the audio for this is a little bit off, we've literally just come straight out of the cinema on a midnight screening. And we're sat here in the car just to kind of unload our immediate thoughts and feedback on that.
Yep.
What we're going to do is basically talk spoiler-free about some of the James Bond films for Daniel Craig's maybe in particular that have led us up to here, just very, very quickly for context.
Yeah. Got to give that sweet context.
Mate, absolutely. Then a little bit of our overall thoughts and feelings of the films without getting into anything, and then we'll give you a big warning and probably dive in a fair amount of detail.
I wouldn't do that to an audience. I wouldn't, just like load them spoiler heavy right at the front.
You give them a spoiler warning, you put the spoilers in the context of whatever you're doing, but you don't put it in a title and you don't put it in a thumbbell. That's the code.
And you don't just rattle one out just like like off the cuff, just without warning. You don't just.
I'm almost tempted to now in a kind of self-destructive
See,
way.
I can see you twitching. You're ready.
I'll use the strength. A little heads up, guys. We're going to just smoothly roll straight into this. We've actually done a longer introduction, which wasn't fully recorded properly. Just us basically having a catch-up. If you are a real nerd, we will stick that right at the very end of all of this as well. A little post-credits for my boyos. But yeah, this is, it's been a long time, which actually means Daniel Craig is the longest running James Bond actor.
He is now the longest running, yeah. So what's his tenure is 2006 to now, which is 15 years, 16 years? Is that right?
Wow.
Yeah, 15 years, which is longer than Roger Moore, who was 73, 85, so that's 12 years.
So he did it for 85 years. And he was 85 years old by...
85 years young.
85 years young.
85 years young can still, because...
A View to a Kill.
No, let's not. Let's not do this. Max Zorin, greatest film.
Do you know, everyone, I noticed everyone was aging their way along, but we'll get into that. There's some excellent callbacks in this Bond film, which it did way better than Die Another Day did.
Oh, Die Another Day, yes.
Yeah,
God, that was ham-fisted. That was sledgehammer.
Like a Bond kind of centenary film almost.
Yeah.
The way it did some subtle nods to a lot of stuff.
I want to talk about that in context of Skyfall, because it didn't sit very well with me this time round.
Okay, yeah. All right. So we have not had a word of each other at all about our reaction to this film.
We typically don't, though, do we?
No, let's hold off until after we do our little Craig rundown.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the year is, I want to say, 2006.
2006, yeah. Cinema is dead.
Yep.
Blockbuster cinema is over.
We were sick of everything, but Christopher Nolan made some Batman films. They were rough, hard, and ready.
That was, Batman Begins was the year before.
We had some Bourne Identity movies, I think, coming out.
Yeah, I think Jason Bourne, the Bourne Identity was 2002.
Okay.
So we were getting into a period of blockbuster cinema where I think there was still excess. We still had Spider-Man 3 to come, so there was still excess on the plate. We can't talk about that.
This was like, it rhymes. It's like a stanza. This was like the new 90s wave of films where we were kind of getting used to CG, and then we had to learn to stop using CG.
Yeah, because everybody went, oh, that's what you want. How about all the CG in the world?
What if directors who don't really understand what they can and can't do in post just leave it all to post?
Right, it's like, that's the key. Fix it in post, but don't make it in post, for fuck's sake. No. You can't do that.
Don't storyboard it for post either.
So we still had tremendous amount of sloppy excess to come.
However, a triumph.
Yes.
Bond comes in immediately from the opening credits. He's hard, he's rugged, he's very physical.
Yep.
He's willing to do stuff.
The incredible juxtaposition in that opening scene of the rough as fuck bathroom fight. And he even says it in a line of dialogue. He's like, oh, he made you feel it, did he? And my God, you felt it. And then, don't worry, the second is...
it's a grittier black and white flashback in a gritty black and white cold open.
Right. But contrasted with him in the office where everything is sleek and smooth and, clean looking, but not
Prague
not
office.
Overly post-processed as things are now in the increasing digital age.
It had a good grain.
Nice.
Had a good amount of grain.
It had texture. And then we were in. I'm like, okay, I am sold on this guy already.
And so, like, the thing of all really good fight scenes, and they kind of say that there's similarities between martial arts films and musicals, is that if they're done very well, they continue the story and they continue to inform you about stuff as it's happening. It's not just, here's the fight, and when the fight's over, we continue the narrative.
Right.
We learned about Bond.
The fight is not an interruption.
Nope.
The fight is a part of the journey.
The Bond maker, the parkour expert, the Frenchman, he was the foil to show us what this Bond was.
Right.
Love it.
He's, almost like Tombs in a certain sense. He's like getting through all these narrow gaps. He's weaving in and out. And there's that great
He'll
bit
be back in 30 years.
Yeah, but don't go after Bond's liver, because that is wrecked. Right?
Oh my God, that's the final. This is the final Tomb sequel.
Right, but he's going through all those narrow gaps, and then you just see Bond just like run through a wall.
That's do you know what? That's for me. That's the iconic scene of that fight sequence. He slips through the gap in the top. Bond bursts through the drywall.
Right,
tells you everything.
And the reason is, so he is not. He's not on that level, but he is just like, he looks more physically imposing. He looks like you can take that sort of knock, but he's also an improviser.
Yep, he's still using the environment.
Right, he doesn't have the same physicality as that guy, but you can use the environment to his advantage to match that guy.
And he's also willing to ignore collateral damage.
Yeah,
instantly.
He's also willing to ignore his own body in a sense. He's willing to just put that.
He's a focused dog with a target.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
So we kind of get that kind of bursting onto stage, and the reason why we've just spent so much time talking about that is because we've come off the back of, hey, yeah, Fierce Pierce here, looking good in a tux, looking sharp, and I'm from the generation where Pierce is beloved.
Fierce Pierce. I've never heard that.
That's because that's who he does. He puts on the tux and he's like, looking good. Yeah, I'm Bond. I'm Fierce Pierce. That's how I've always imagined him before they roll the cameras. That's how he gets into it. Looking good. Like every Pierce Brosnan.
I love these very particular things you have about actors that are completely unique to you. I don't think anybody else has thought that.
Google Fierce Pierce. Everybody's thinking it.
I'm not Googling Fierce Pierce. Well, not at work anyway.
We'd come to the over-ripening of the fruit and it had decayed.
Yeah, that's it. When you get the green screen paraglide and giant space lasers, bullshit,
I'm sure.
invisible cars, and you just go, nah, I'm done.
And I think that's in everyone's conscious awareness. If it's not just Google, Die Another Day, look at anyone's review of it. But a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for the song, Madonna did really well. Madonna is an apex predator. We must praise her.
I'm sorry. Did you actually just say those words?
No. I may or may not believe them, but I have a natural fear of Madonna. Like, she is above us on the food chain. She eats foreign babies.
Oh, is she?
I am convinced she is a threat to any human. She's the Tombs. Do you know what I'm saying, man?
So she's like the white Grace Jones.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Jesus. Yeah. Anyway. Oh yeah. No. The point is, we need to keep focused on this.
Absolutely.
So we've got our new Bond, and one of the things that kind of went through the Bonds, this was pointed out to me, but I do sort of feel it to a degree, is that film started off with, he's our fresh 00. Yep. He's not yet Bond.
No.
Watch him steel himself. Watch his regard for relationships form here.
Yeah, and also not only what informs him as a character, but it was almost like my anticipation was, this is a step-by-step journey to watch him become the Bond that we know, right? The classic, the tuxedoed, martini shaken, not stirred.
It's brilliant because they've started us off away from the Bond character that we knew through the 90s, so that now there's an actual journey to be had.
Right.
We've got something to enjoy.
And not only that, there are recognizable elements, but there is, because of the different ways played, there's enough of a disassociation there to reframe, how you look at it. You're not coming with... It sort of carries that context a little bit of the previous Bonds, but you are allowed that reset in your own head, even though as an audience you are very familiar with what these films are. And there is a formula.
We've come far away enough, so the Pierce Brosnan generation could still reach back into the same stuff that Ronin did.
Yeah.
In that every reference was a Cold War reference.
Right.
And we've ceded far away enough from that for this Bond not to have that history.
It doesn't have to inform it. Yeah.
But in the kind of more negative sense, or just an interesting thing, that whole fresh start, look, we're becoming Bond, that's almost a repeating motif of the films. The first one, he starts off, by the end of it, I'm Bond, James Bond, look at me, bada bada bab. The second one, an addendum, we'll talk about it in a minute. But then the next one, Bond, you're old news, you know, you're out of date. So they start off by going, Bond, you're old news, you're out of date. And then by the end of that film, oh, here's M, here's The Office.
Right.
Now Bond can finally begin?
Yes.
Question mark?
I know, right?
Next film, Bond, we've moved on. It's all about technology now, darling.
Right.
Until the end where he's definitely James Bond. It's weird.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. That's a key point there. Like, it's almost, you get this 50-year reflection on what Bond is, only to leave it in the very place that it started.
And it's, I don't know if
everything
that's
old is new again.
Yeah, and I can't tell if there's something very interesting going on there, or if it's the end of the Matrix and it's time to play Rage Against the Machine.
It's always time to play Rage Against the Machine.
So I want the final scene for the audience to go, wow, that's Bond. And when they get up out their seats, fist pumping the air or something. Do you know? And it's are you doing that for the wider narrative?
And yet, weirdly, I didn't feel like that was not satisfying when it came to that ending.
No.
It was. It had almost earned that, in a sense.
So the reason why we're talking about these kind of bigger themes is because some of this will feed in, but also when it comes to just talking a bit about Casino Royale, I think we can kind of skip a lot of it. Do we have a post-film podcast about these?
No.
Casino
well, we did
Royale.
one for Spectre, remember? That was our first.
So, guys, we are on the Megaverse channel at the moment, where you're probably listening to this. I will pop that one up somewhere. I'm sure I've got it.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Give you a bit of reference. There'll be a link in the description below. But I think probably the most important thing to mention with Casino Royale is his relationship with Vesper. It's probably the most informing thing.
Or his relationship with M, actually. Yeah? Informs a hell of a lot. Basically, his relationship with women. How is that? But you know what? The thing with M has more backbone to it because of the previous use of M in the Pierce Brosnan ones. It's a very, very strange thing.
That's one of the most incredible meta things that I can think of when you try to wrap your head around it.
You're right.
M is playing a revamp of her own existing character.
Yeah.
Who played exactly the same, but technically isn't that
right.
M.
Not quite that M, although very much that same character. But when, because I don't think the three films with Daniel Craig are enough to get a sense of their relationship. You need the context of the Brosnan-M relationship in order for that ending of Skyfall to really mean something.
So, guys, we're here
to
talk about the latest Daniel Craig James Bond, and some people might say a good conversation will start at the beginning of his story, but we've worked out that we need to go further back.
We gotta go back.
Some people might think we need to start with the James Bond series, but I think we need to start with the first moving picture. But no, you've raised a really good point, because you've got Pierce Brosnan in the beginning of GoldenEye.
It's almost like the very first interaction.
What is it?
No, not the first one.
I remember something like, it's like Tanner, or the equivalent of Tanner in GoldenEye, and he's just like the evil Queen of Thorns, where let you play the numbers.
The evil Queen of Numbers.
Oh yeah.
It is Tanner. It is just another actor playing Tanner. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And so we get this whole instant. MI5 is run by the accountants now.
Yep.
And then. So we're like, she's an antagonist, and this is your relationship with any good, strong mother. You respect her from fear first, then you love her.
Right, but I've just realised they do the very same thing in Casino Royale. Vesper Lynd is an accountant, and the what's his name, Mathis says It seems like the accountants are running NI6.
Oh my God, he does. And then
time is cyclical.
And then Bond pulls out his phone and he's got that Instagram face app, what you look like when you're old. And Vesper uses it and she looks just like Jane Judi Dench. And Bond gets an erection. He goes, she looks just like my mother. Do you know what? I think that's. I've just gone into Naked Gun 2.5.
Yeah, we need a whole other hour to talk about Bond's edible
She
complex.
had breasts that seemed to say, "Hey, look at these." I had the huts for her, right? She looked just like my mother. Eyes all the way up to here.
Oh my God!
Sorry, guys.
We've entered a horrible place.
But what you've actually just said is fascinating in terms of how we describe the women that are key to Bond's relationships. Because she comes in hard, going back to initial Pierce Brosnan, Judi Dench,
saying you're a dinosaur, you're a relic of the Cold War.
Then we get the respect because she's just like, I'm not afraid to send a man to his death,
right?
But I won't do it on just a hunch,
yeah,
or something
right.
like
I
that.
won't do it on a whim.
And then we get a little bit of warmth because we want Mum to respect us, and she's like, Bond, come back alive.
Yeah,
and you're just like, wow. In this, and obviously you've got a powerful actor to carry that off
in the space of 3 minutes, though.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, in someone else's hands, that would fall down like a house of cards.
Now, the thing with Vesper is, yes, a lot of those still come across, but she's played beautifully well as a character who's got some ulterior motive.
Oh, yeah.
That you almost assign to just how she is, because you get used to her being trusted after a while. Lovely, it's lovely. And then it all comes flooding back. Right. Oh, I should have trusted my instincts and all those little cues that they very cleverly gave us.
Yeah.
But so Bond's relationship with M. So set up lovely. We've got that history with Pierce.
Yeah.
And then because we've got that same M, we are attributing a lot of that same stuff.
Yeah, we are carrying that over.
And she's very much a very similar iteration of that
actually
character.
Just proves what a strong film Casino Royale is. To bring a certain amount of baggage over with the character of M, but also to have it be so strong that we can totally disassociate from what we know to be Bond and reframe it like this is our new Bond. You know,
it's folding in a foreign element and making it part of the homeland.
Right,
I don't know how to put it.
It's like a puzzle box. It's like the lament configuration. It's just what am I getting into here? You know?
Yeah, it's an excellent move. They ticked all the boxes. We like Casino Royale.
Yeah,
it set us up feeling very strongly about Bond. But the whole real thing is that he reached a point where he was then learning to trust. You've broken down all my walls. I don't have any left.
Right.
I'm willing to give everything up and learn to love again. Betrayal, cold inside.
Reset.
Yeah, and you've got this. It's because he knows that she loved him. So you've got a mixture of being betrayed by people who can still love you but still harm you.
Yeah.
And a mixture of hating them, hating yourself for letting that happen to you after you had your walls put up, wanting revenge for them, and it's a very complex thing.
Yeah.
So he's a bit torn, and so what do? You become the perfect 00 agent. You use women and you detach yourself.
Which makes you a more effective killer.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember Pierce Brosnan using sex as a weapon in the Fourth Protocol. Yo, do you remember the Fourth Protocol? You want to go back to some spy shit?
I don't. I haven't seen the Fourth Protocol.
Mate.
I didn't see 1 through 3, so.
Dickhead. That's such a dickhead. I love it.
Triggered.
All right. Wait, was that? Was that Alfred?
Alfred.
Oh, Special Agent Master Bruce.
No, he was.
Was he not in the Fourth Protocol?
No, that was. He was in the Ipcrest file.
Oh, who was the good guy?
He was Harry Palmer. Or was he in the Fourth Protocol as a villain or something?
No, the good guy. Pierce was the villain.
Oh, Pierce was the villain.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, guys. Warning. Warning.
Spoilers for a mediocre 90s trashy paperback spy
You
novel?
would know better than me. I've not seen it. I didn't remember it until you mentioned it just now.
Yeah. So we've got that little setup. We've got that Bond what he is. The second Bond movie, I think you text me after you were watching it, and to reaffirm that you thought it was absolute garbage.
Yeah, what Quantum of Solace is fucking. Oh,
so
that is a bit like, we allow ourselves to love again. Casino Royale. I let all my guard down. I was thinking,
here comes a writer's strike to ruin the script.
And now I'm like, oh my God, I need to detach from Bond. As a franchise.
Quantum of Solace, in terms of what it's doing for Bond, this one you can kind of, I almost treat it tentatively because of that writer's strike. So they never really achieved whatever vision they probably originally had. They were literally writing a script on the day that they were shooting scenes.
Yeah.
It was all going like Hobbit, basically.
Now, if you're making Jaws under Steven Spielberg, you can get away with that and create an absolute masterpiece. When you're when you've got, I don't know, some...
Daniel Craig's now got a writing credit because he's there literally.
Because he's just like, hey, why don't I say this? And like, yeah, that'll cover a couple of minutes.
So with that one, I always treat that as DLC to the first film. It was always kind of an addendum to the first movie anyway.
No, it definitely was. And it almost felt like it was trying to hit certain beats that were definitely successful in Casino Royale and just playing them less well.
Yeah. So that storytelling, the opening of that, I would describe it as frantic and hectic and not as easy to geographically
noisy,
follow.
Horrible, just very difficult to really follow what was going on and care what was going on.
But I didn't. So this is an interesting thing. Like, I was a Quantum of Solace apologist for a really long time. And I always remembered it more fondly. Now, I'm not saying it was great, but I was obviously an inferior thing. But I always treated it as, oh, wow, here's the DLC. Here's the addendum to the first film. Watch them together, and you can fall asleep to this one if you want to. And I always was just like, why do I think that this film is a bit better than a lot of other people do? I watched Quantum of Solace about 10 months ago.
Okay.
And it was weird because I had none of those feelings that I'd had for years. Oh, really? And do you want to know something really weird about what I think it is?
I always do, yeah.
Okay, this is stupid. I remember coming out of Quantum of Solace, so this review or somebody else or a conversation I had very near it. And I was like, oh, that Bond intro was good though. And they were like, no, it's all rubbish. This must have been you, because you're the kind of person to go, no, it's all rubbish.
It's all rubbish, yeah.
And the Bond music titles to Quantum of Solace was done by a different group. It wasn't the usual people. It's a one-off. It's not like M83, but it was like a different visual design studio did that.
Yeah. And you can tell because it doesn't fit in at all with the other.
Okay,
four.
This must be with you because I think that is a brilliant reproduction of a Bond intro title sequence. I think it hits all the beats, and in terms of like the sound, the eyes, the visual, the rhythm, the beat of like da 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 da, Your Majesty, ba da ba da. I liked all of it, and so I think off the back of that, I started defending the whole movie. Because I was like, no, Ken, you're wrong. Those titles were not done by the same people, but that is a evocative and excellent reproduction of what a Bond's title should be. You've got the ladies in silhouette. You've got James Bond kind of stalking someone through desert motifs. This really is spot on. If, knowing that an outside entity did that, I was like, they've nailed it. And so I think I must have gone off the back of that and been like, yeah, and so therefore that
Quantum of Solace is great.
That theme continues through the whole film. It's not perfect, but they did their best. And then I think the last time I watched it, I was like, why does this feel so empty? And why does it just feel like it's one event is just frantically leading into that and then frantically leading into that and then. But those intro titles, when we were just talking about it being a bit more disparate, I kind of like forgave that because I thought it was being a bit more abstract,
right?
Like because it kept cutting to the bullfighting and all that sort of stuff, and I was like, okay, the theme is the hunt is on, if not the visuals of me being able to tell that the hunt is on.
Now
even the car chase in the beginning.
Here's the thing that I always say about Quantum of Solace, and I'll say it again. I watched it. When did I message you? Sunday. I watched it on Sunday. I still don't remember what it's about. The villain is a blank slate, just completely unmemorable. I can never ever remember what the fucking plot of that film is.
Now I certainly can, but I actually have come round to agree with you a bit more. In that, despite the fact that I can't even tell what's going on where in the car chase in the beginning, I actually liked it.
Can't tell what's going on in the sewer chase following that. don't care what's happening with that knife fight.
But just for opening the trunk on Mr. White, you get a freeze frame. It's like, okay.
It's like,
all the titles are Siena, Italy. It's all like title specific.
Yeah. I wish you could have freeze framed and I could have walked out.
So, well, even better, freeze frame there. And then everything that you've just said that you couldn't remember, I kind of like agree, maybe cut straight to the bit where it's in, is it like in Russia? And he goes in one of the Canadian office agents at the very end. And Bond gets his resolution on the guy who turned Vesper.
I remember it because it's snowing and he's got a nice coat.
And there's some excellent actress who just, she plays it all. She has one line, I think, which is thank you. Yeah. And you just, so basically, the one in the middle, blah, blah, green company, he's after water, exploding thing.
Yeah. There's a big explosion at the end.
Yeah, and it's fine. And it basically, that uncovers the economic arm of Spectre. Yeah. This isn't Spectre itself. A little bit post-production going on here.
Uncovering
post-rationalization, here we go.
Economic arm of Quantum, which it was then.
No, so Quantum is the economic arm of Spectre post-writing, but it was Quantum Group at the time.
Uncovering the economic arm of Spectre is like opening Star Wars talking about trade routes. The taxation of trade routes.
Oh my God.
I tell you what, I'm going to go back to my adventure, and you talk about trade routes.
That is a disappointingly good analogy.
Thank you
really
very much.
is.
Thank you very much. That's why I'm here.
How would you like to uncover the Sith? Would you like to learn about the dark side, or would you like to learn about their economic influences? I'll take the economic influences, please, for I was going to say for 2 hours, but oh my God. So, Daniel Craig, longest running Bond.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig, shortest ever Bond film, ?
Yes.
Quantum of Solace.
Yeah. Yeah.
It runs for 55 minutes?
No,
it's like barely 1 hour 30. It's like an hour 25.
I think it's just maybe over the hour and a half mark.
Just with credits.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry if I completely sidetracked by your excellent references.
Thank you.
But yeah, so we've got Quantum. So Spectre has like an arm that acts officially, and still it's super shady, but it's essentially as shady as any other government. It's surface level shadiness. We'll buy a pipeline, we'll fuck over economies, we'll send goods.
Who cares?
So, the plot thickens a little bit, good for them. But going back to the important bit, which is Bond having relationships with women, he uses, I want to say, strawberry fields.
Right, yeah.
And then you get your comeuppance. Emma's just like, this is what you do to women.
Yep. And he's like, I know.
And then more importantly, you get this excellent scene in the end where he's just like, oh, that's a nice necklace. He gave one to a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he just explains what he did with his friend. And the agent is called Corinne, I think. The Canadian agent who has one line.
I think you're right. Yep, I think you're right.
That came out of nowhere. I swear to God. That just sparks from the back of my brain.
You put 10 pence in the meter there.
Yeah, wow. And I just love that because she says nothing, and as he talks, you can see her connecting all the dots in her face, and her face drops.
Yeah.
But it's not dramatic, like her eye level just lowers, and everything in her dies.
Yeah.
And then she leaves, and it's just like, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, that
was so good.
Great moment. Yeah.
Beautiful part, and cut out all the middle.
Yeah, and just leave.
Cut out the hour 20.
Yeah.
And then,
in fact, you could have just had that as a post-credits to Casino Royale. I would have been quite happy. Really.
So I will happily put Quantum on if I'm doing like a Craig Bond-a-thon. I was certainly going to. But I would definitely be getting some work done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I did.
Bang. So that takes us up to Skyfall.
Yeah.
Now, like, as far as I'm concerned, we're back into some fucking running Bond here.
Yeah.
Absolute banger of a tune as well.
Yeah, fucking. But that is like calling back to Shirley Bassey. It is a fucking ballad.
Yeah, there's so Bond theme tunes have like the I don't know, the swingers. The heavy Bond themed ones, but they're like, it could be a band or it could be rock or anything.
Yeah.
And then you've got those power belting ballads that nail it.
Yeah.
It's GoldenEye Mark II.
Yeah,
it's a different feeling, a different thing, but it's right up there.
Yeah, definitely. Fucking great.
Now this is where we're talking about that 10-month gap in my head, or possibly more, Skyfall starts to vaguely mix with Spectre if I'm not careful.
Okay.
So
I will keep you right.
Talk me through the beginning of Skyfall, and I'm
beginning
going
of
to
Skyfall
aggressively.
is he's walking into this office like everybody's dead. There's one guy barely alive. Remember?
Letterbox lighting.
Yep.
Bond steps into focus, into frame.
Yep. And it's just like it's all dust and just like bodies, and then he finds one guy barely alive. He's like, I've got to stabilize him. He's going to go, no, leave him.
Yep.
You've got to get the drive. And then he's like, okay. And then he's out in a fucking, is it Marrakesh or something? Really noisy, heavy,
Land Rover
dusty.
Market.
Yep. And then we get the chase. So he's on the bike and he gets on a train. And there's a big thing where he uses.
Oh, there's a really awkward shot where he drives a bike into the wall to catapult himself.
Yeah, to catapult himself
bridge.
onto the train.
And it's just like, just jump off the bridge, mate. Don't use the bike's momentum.
No.
Just jump off. It's always stuck with me really weirdly.
It's one of those little niggles. Yeah,
yeah. Because it was just
don't overthink it.
Anything that goes a little bit, triple X-y.
Yeah. Which is what that thing about Casino Royale is. It reframed the action as being so gritty up until sort of that finale. You think don't overplay your hand.
Yeah, and
little moments like that are, but it's kind of the fabric of that franchise is quite elastic. Yeah, and it just didn't snap.
No.
It was just like, oh, we're now heading into fun territory again. Okay, we can just have fun with this.
I do allow those moments because I can still convince myself that it would work in that universe.
But it rails it back then when he just gets like shot up in the digger. In the cab, you think, oh, I've never seen him actually really get hurt before. This is weird,
I'm going to go back and ask you one question really quickly about Casino Royale, because we're about to hit on the answer to that question in this film for me.
Yeah.
It could be a tiny moment, but what is the most James Bondiest moment you remember from Casino Royale?
The James Bondiest moment.
I'll give you context in this film for me, if that helps.
Yeah.
When he's in that chase in Skyfall,
I know what you're going to say.
He jumps off the digger into the train. Yeah,
and he fixes the cufflinks.
Yeah. Takes a little moment to fix his cufflinks.
That's it. The most Bondian moment in Casino Royale comparatively is... Fuck.
I'll let you mull it over if you like.
Yeah, do you know what? I can't think of one that is... Do you know, maybe when he's putting on the tux for the first time and he admires himself in the mirror.
After he's like, it's tailored.
Yeah.
Like a measured up
and he's just like... Oh,
yeah.
Do you know what? I wear this quite well.
Do you know what? That's another kind of like meta relationship theme, because she's already explained he looks like he wears his clothes with disdain.
Yeah.
And he's had those first clothes from the government, from the schools he's gone to, from his Eton.
That's it.
And then he gets tailored clothes from her. And there's a part of him that accepts it.
Yeah.
And he actually likes how he looks in it.
Exactly, yeah.
It's such a pretty little thing to put into that.
Right? But you need that, I think. You need those little subtle moments, to stay stuff that, you could take half an hour really saying that, but then the film just drags on. You need those little visual cues. Like, say it in visuals, don't say it in fucking dialogue if you can,
Another thing I really liked about Casino Royale that kind of like slightly disappeared is that it's super, super contrived, but the bit where he goes to the island hotel in, I want to say Nassau?
The Bahamas, yep.
And he does up his shoelace for the sake of taking a moment to scope the cameras.
Yeah.
That's what gets the guy to chuck him the keys as a valet.
That's right.
Which causes him to make the distraction to draw up the security guards so that he knows where they are.
Yeah.
So that he can... And it's just all that visually just about me. Super contrived.
Yeah,
but
very
in the
convoluted.
Bond universe, I could still read it.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try to think of Bond one for the second one. That only came occurred to me for that one right there. Absolutely. But you've got that retired Bond. He's retired again because he shot off the top of a train. Take the shot. Oh, this lady I'm working with, well, she nearly murdered me.
Right.
But that's to be fair. That's all fair.
Interestingly. But the way that works, because we've skipped a whole journey between Quantum of Solace and Skyfall, right? We've missed many years of him.
This is definitely...
We've missed many chapters. But the way it works is in the framing of it as a 50th anniversary Bond.
Was that a 50th anniversary one?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
2012, so it's like 50 years after Dr. No.
So I hate to bring it up. What was Die Another Day? Was that Bond 100 or something?
That was 40.
Okay.
Bond 100.
I didn't think that through.
Right, we got 50 after Die Another Day, and Die Another Day was 100.
So you're a real James Bond fan. Name all 100 films.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening now. Yes, right. So that was the 50th anniversary, and it's all like it's right up front. Now this does say a lot in dialogue, but it's all about how relevant is the 00 section now. You know, in this new world of technology, how relevant are you, Bond, as a thing? How relevant are you as a series? You know, we've moved on from this, surely. He says it in dialogue. Well, that's it. We're both played out, and you go, this is fucking strange to just be like drawing our attention to the fact that, like, yeah, this really, how relevant is it? And yet, what it's doing, first of all, it's a great bit of character study, but it's also sort of walking you back through why you fell in love with it in the first place. And it's a complete, it's daring you to ask that question, why do I give a fuck about this series anymore? And then it's telling you why.
It was the same question Em was asking Pierce as well.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you've got this echo. It's like stanzas, they rhyme. Yeah.
But he's just like, I still believe you need a man at the end of a gun who knows when to pull the trigger and when not to.
Right, yeah. And then, you know, ending with that thing, like, we're back in the classic setup, the sort of leather chair door, like leading M's office, and you've got Moneypenny.
Now it's really Bond.
Yeah.
Like, the big reveal is her surname is Moneypenny, and you go wild. You're just like, what? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Inside of that is obviously it's the death of Mother.
Mm-hmm. But it's also the retreat, you know, back to where he started. One of the things I loved about Skyfall is that for all the globe-trotting and, like, you know, all these different locales that you see in all these Bond films, here is Bond largely on home turf. You know, it's England, which, you know, the Empire.
I thought Skyfall was in Scotland.
Yeah, so Skyfall is in Scotland, but he spends a lot of time in England. It shows you the landmarks of.
And brilliantly, it shows M being belligerent to a police officer. She's like, don't you recognise a car? Right. And you're just like, oh yeah, of course, this is how she probably talks, because she's a fucking Tory or something. Right. No, I'm only kidding. I'm going to step back from that.
Yeah, all right, okay.
But you're just like, oh wait, outside of role of her job, of course she's an aristocrat.
Yeah. And then it's all about him going home to the, like, where he actually came from, you know, and it's this exploration of, yeah, well, you know the whole story. Orphans make the best, you know, recruits and all this sort of shit.
And a little nod to a thoroughly excellent Bond villain introduction.
Yeah,
mate, get your monologue in at the beginning of your character introduction.
Yeah, get it out of the way before you can interrupt it. You know,
but again, it tells us everything we need to know. And by the time he's physically, and they must have rehearsed how long it takes to say that speech to walk.
Yeah, we know who he is for the time he hits that. And the forefront, yeah, excellent.
In terms of the wider, because we've just talked about Quantum being the economic arm of Spectre.
Yeah.
Because Spectre by the end is just like, oh, these were all sent against you, James. We're going to get to that in a minute.
And I didn't like they included Silver
not at all.
That, no.
So in my head, I say that he let a dog off a leash. Yeah. That's the only way that works.
That's the only. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
So. Again, really solid, going through all of it. The transition into learning to like new characters that are going to replace old ones.
Gorgeous looking film, Skyfall, as well. And you've got, like, you know, it's almost like to celebrate the 50th anniversary, here's the prestige Bond. You've got Oscar winner Sam Mendes. You've got Oscar winner Thomas Newman doing the composing. You've got Roger Deakins, like, incredible cinematographer. And you think, this is a Bond film, though. Why have we got this caliber for Bond?
Here's the car that pseudo suggests Bond is a code name and that Sean Connery did have an adventure and he's kept let's not worry about it, but here's the old classic, here's a few of the old vintage things. And then I'm kind of skipping the entire movie just for the sake of talking about M. Bond at the end dealing with the relationship with M, and it's like M's got two sons. She's got Cain and she's got Abel. And it's a fucking nightmare for her, and she has to like die by the hands of one of them.
And in the arms of the other.
It's really weird and messed up, but like it's all put together beautifully.
But you wouldn't come to a normal Bond film expecting that.
No, like I'm trying to remember anything of that caliber in oh wait, who's the old guy? The old Bond? I can't remember. Literally, it's gone out my head just now.
Roger Moore.
I'm sorry, I'm having a moment there.
Okay, cool.
I'm trying to remember anything about like there's I think you get like a really dark Roger Moore moment where he pushes a guy in a car that's leaning off a cliff. And like it was like super rare for that Bond.
You also get that bit in, I think, The Spy Who Loved Me, where he
grab a sip of water,
where he the assassin is holding on, like he's dangling the assassin. The assassin is holding on to his tie, and he just slaps his hand off the tie. You know, and then obviously you've got him like going humorless when they kill Patrick Macnee in the best Bond film. Have you a kill? No, it's not the best. It's really not the best. No, but I think it's very good. But that is, after they kill him, he turns completely sour. Like you know. So you've definitely got those moments, but nothing that registers that large in terms of a character study, in terms of emotional investment.
Yeah, and that they've really gone that hog in the Daniel Craig's.
And it's like, it's great because you need something to reinvest you in it. You can't just go on adventures all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like one of the symptoms of me getting old. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but like, I loved my action films, but now I need character. I need to care about the character. I have to be invested in that conflict for them.
Yeah, especially if you're going to make such, because you know Bond films are a commitment.
Yeah,
you need that. Yeah,
and you can't throw that much money in and that much prestige into the franchise without doing something.
Yeah, without it meaning something. Yeah, exactly.
So we come off the end of that. We've got a new M. Bond's kind of said goodbye to that part of the relationship. We go into Spectre, where he's got one last kind of, he's got one unopened email from M, or whatever it was. She sent him a videotape in the post.
It's introducing the Justice League? No. no. Hang on. Cross wires.
He gets a video cassette in a post, and it's Jeremy Beadle. It was M told me to look after this until she passed. Love Jeremy Beadle. I don't know why it has to be Jeremy Beadle.
What?
Written in his small hand. He's held on to it. He's held on to it with all the other home video cassettes.
He opens a video cassette from them and it's just 7 days. No.
But we start off now. So do you have a good Bond moment in Skyfall then for yourself? I've taken the. You can have the cuffs.
In Skyfall, what's my best moment?
Bond moment, just the most Bondest moment.
Oh, the most Bondish moment.
Oh, you can have the cufflinks if you want.
Oh, right.
We can share.
Best Bond moment. The house blows up. He doesn't give a fuck. They trash the Aston Martin, and that's when he decides to fucking, take them out. You can see the expression on his face change when he hears the Aston Martin getting blown up. That's because he really cares about that car.
And again, you have to have that kind of character where you understand what is or isn't necessary or valuable intel or information or assets, and instantly dismiss all ties to everything else.
Yeah.
So exactly. you have to have that walk away from it mentality. Fascinating. Skyfall is where it expands on everything, and that's where it really hit home for me that we are back in wacky territory again.
A little bit, yeah.
It's still beautiful. It still looks like the others.
Yep.
But all that very real gritty Bond that we'd gotten in the beginning, that's when I noticed that they'd slowly been turning up the temperature the whole time.
Yeah.
And we're back into zany
we
Bond
are
stuff.
The frog in the pan of water. And yet, it never, for me, at any point, felt unwelcome.
I hit one point where it stretched reality for me too far.
Okay, what was that point?
And I think it's part of being a bit tired towards the end of a film that's 20 minutes longer than my body was ready for, because that's a very long. Spectre's super long, right?
Oh, Spectre is, I mean, it's stupid long, yeah. Or it felt long, at least, yeah.
Is Bond on a speedboat on the Thames, standing at the prow, with a 9mm handgun, firing a precision shot at a helicopter rotor blade for a 1 in a million.
Yeah. I think by the time it got to that point, we'd already hit silliness. When it is what I was enjoying by that point was how much they clearly loved being able to use Spectre, being able to use Blofeld again. So you're just you're leaning full tilt into it. Like, as I said to you at the time, the base that he's in might as well be a volcano lair.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a massive crater. It's like, it might as well be. The imagery that you're calling back to.
Something that I actually miss, something that never was done as well again in my head, was the bad guys in the Sean Connery James Bond had the brutalist modern architecture, where it was just hard concrete angles enveloping space, a row of 60s black chairs in the middle of nowhere by a table, it was perfect.
You do get a little bit of that in Spectre, actually, when he goes into the meeting room and everything is, very dimly lit and it's all polished, and you've got this big long table
where everybody's watching the cameras, or
no, it's where we see Blofeld for the first time.
No, because that's
where the guy kills with the thumb blades.
I mean, in terms of like the geography and some of the plane surfaces, maybe a bit evocative, but for me that's another kind of lush mansion setting. And in the early...
I see what you mean.
In the early Bonds, all the
good
guys had the lush mansions. Bond is meeting M at the clubhouse or some bizarrely ornate British building.
Right,
but the bad guys have the brutalist clean edges.
Yes, I do know what you mean now. Yeah. Sorry, I've just caught up
but
with you.
It's a lot of it's absurdist. Like, those chairs will dip down into... But like that reached to me really well. And then like by the time we're kind of moving on from that, it almost blurs. A lot of the British buildings are old British Empire buildings, but we cut to the Russians, and it's similar, but it's a lot more marble. But they still have wacky turning tables to show you maps and shit. And it's all very like the last of the bourgeoisie architecture. And then as we went into the Pierce Brosnan, now we've got the modern MI5. Now we've got the brutalist architecture. Now we've got that clean-cut MI5 building. And it's just like, whoa, we just kind of went full circle on it. And now the bad guys are in layers. The bad guy layer is, a satellite dish. The bad guy layer is some weird kind of thing. It's hanging out in the Soviet Lenin monument. All that sort of stuff. It's wild.
It's in a fucking, ice palace.
You
can taste that at the back of your throat, can you?
I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm so sorry. I've just gone off a bit of a tangent. But going back to Spectre. Spectre and his wacky setups. I thought Spectre was, had really good enjoyable moments. I didn't necessarily appreciate or feel that him being related directly to Bond was necessary.
That was not necessary, no. But I think, because when I rewatched this just a couple of days ago, it didn't make the same mark on me as it did in the cinema. In the cinema, I must have just been in the mood for it to just be indulgent. Because you're already showing your hand with that in the opening scene. Like, you might as well. Just go for it. And I was just really enjoying it. Like, when the cat jumps up on his lap when he's in that torture chair and he says, "Oh, hello, pussy." And then and at that point, when he said his name and he gets up out of the chair, I'm like, he's a way to tell him that he's Blofeld instead. And I was just like, come on, just don't disappoint me. Just lean into it. Just, like, lean full tilt into it. And at the time, I enjoyed it. But in a rewatch, it doesn't hold up as well. It was very indulgent.
No, I thought the casting was excellent. I thought
Christoph Waltz always gives you.
I rewatched Inglourious Bastards.
Oh yeah,
too long
fucking
ago.
hell. No, Tarantino, no thanks, but him in that film, that first 20 minutes is dynamite.
See, those dialogue scenes under high tension. That's what Tarantino does do fucking well.
Yeah, but that's what Christoph Waltz as a performer excels at, you know. Yeah, totally.
So I thought everything about it was great, especially the introduction and what it told you about the organisation.
Yeah.
And that, again, that's that kind of seeping back, not into wackiness, but into that, this, you know, you're all wearing suits, but remember, this organisation will promote you based on your ability to kill your superior.
Yes.
And that can happen at this meeting, and nobody will bat an eyelid.
And that's a definite throwback to the Spectre in the Connery era, where they're just like...
We thought you would get 2 million from dealing heroin over here, and it's like, there were some delays. Actually, I have investigated it fully. And you've got like that one guy who's sweating wildly, and the other guy is like, I don't know, polishing his nails or something.
Yeah. But then you've got the this organisation will not tolerate failure, and he's waiting. Like Kleb, I think, is waiting to be killed, and then he kills the other one instead. He's like, you've just gained a new rank or something like that. He's just like, that's very they nailed that, I think.
Yeah, and it brought it around lovely. Like, it managed to capture all of that without repeating anything.
Yeah, exactly. It just felt like a bit of nostalgia, but it was informed emotionally rather than like, you know, somebody holding up a placard. And
you've got like you had one of their, they started about him, and you have one of their agents extolling good news for their organisation. She's obviously a high up. She's talking about how well they're doing and how their organisations are going brilliantly, and she's still shitting her pants when he comes in the room. It's just like,
exactly,
like you get it if like she had some bad news to tell, but like that's on a good day. It's like, yo, okay,
exactly.
So I liked all those bits. You started getting gadgets back in the custom Aston that they built for that one, but they're all still a bit like, they just he's got some basic switches that he's soldered into the dashboard. It's good, it's fun, but they still had to make it chunky. They couldn't like put the ejector seat into the plush lining of something, because that's too much. It has to be a button, and a dangerous looking button, because that's what it is.
It's even that thing of like in Skyfall is like, oh, what were you after, an exploding pen? We don't really do that shit anymore. You know, it's like,
and it's just like, I am invincible. That stuff was important.
But then you get the callback when he goes back to the Aston Martin. It's still got the ejector seat. It's still got the
push it.
Yeah, it's still got the fucking machine guns.
Really randomly, I just want to go all the way back to the other great one, GoldenEye, and just talk about the
other great one,
pen, the other Bond. It's I remember like one bit that I loved about GoldenEye is there's a bit where Natalia has locked out the guidance systems of the GoldenEye satellite. It's falling out of orbit. Boris is typing away trying to get through. A gun has put his head. A guard has put his gun. There we go. Wow. Oh no!
He's just leaned in really close.
A guard has put a gun to Boris's head. He's like, put a gun on him. Make sure to. No. A guard has got the gun on Pierce, and everyone is looking at Boris whilst he's doing it. And the guard is looking at Pierce to keep him under check whilst looking at Boris. Trevelyan is staring at Boris because he wants the guidance back. Boris is under pressure because he's doing the one thing he can do and he's not getting it done. And Pierce is reading the entire situation differently because he's standing there counting the clicks on his pen. And that little scene in that moment of Bond tension, where you can see two different levels of shit going down, and how Bond is trying to keep track of it. I love that. I love those moments.
High pressure situation.
That's top tier Bond, and he just like. And he just counts up and then slaps it out of his hand.
Like, and you can see him doing the. You can see me. Sorry, they can't see me. They can't see what I'm doing.
He's frowning and furrowing his brow.
Brow.
Oh my! Furrowing his brow. Furrow the brow, Pierce. Furrow the brow for the camera. Show them you're counting.
Show them how fierce you are. Come on.
I'm in the scene. Love you, Brosnan. Love you, man. Absolutely, you were my Bond. Don't worry. It's all with love. Counting.
This was not rehearsed, guys. I've really he's laid this on me, and I've never had any context for this.
My apologies. So going back to Skyfall, going back to Spectre. I didn't really like that relationship part, but fine, whatever. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Here's my layer. Here's my introduction. I'm talking about the immovable objects and the meteorite. The unstoppable force meets the immovable objects. Right. Not super strong.
No.
But here we are. And it's really leaning quite deeply on the I'm going to kind of court you and invite you round my house. I could just kill you, but I'm that kind of bad guy.
But this is it. That is a very classic Bond villain staple, isn't it? That's another thing that they were leaning into with that. It's just like we're back.
It's always been that for most of the Bonds, in that we think this might be a lead. Bond goes in and rubs everyone the wrong way until someone tries to kill him, and then follows it up the chain until the big bad guy doesn't kill him but takes him out to dinner.
Yeah.
And that's just how it kind of goes.
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
So we get through that one. Another one of those bits, this is all gas powered. One shot now blows up a whole complex. I'm going to just write it all out.
Yeah. Don't overthink it.
I loved the degradation of Spectre over time through the lens of Mr. White.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I loved that.
Right. Okay.
And that takes us on to his daughter. And you know what? I thought she was a great kind of partner for Bond.
Yeah.
Well enough. Like, she had to have some kind of experience in this worse world.
Yeah, for sure.
To garner both respect and survivability
more
than anything.
Yeah.
And it all kind of worked for me, so I was down with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm almost ready to just kind of step straight into this one. Obviously, Spectre was behind everything. I'm deciding how much of that I choose to believe for my own version of it.
And I think we're very similar versions for that.
But we end on everything being really Bondy again, and then he's just like, you and me are going to go away together.
Mm-hmm. And he's just walking away from it, you know.
Yeah.
And I was expecting, knowing, you know, because it's been a long journey to get to this film. And I was thinking, okay, what it's going to be next time is it's going to be a sort of Diamonds Are Forever done better, maybe. Like, okay, he's
Isn't Diamonds Are Forever like a almost remake of another Bond, though?
No.
Okay, ignore me.
You're thinking of Never Say Never Again, I think, which is a sort of semi-remake of Thunderball.
No, not that direct. Is Diamonds Are Forever? Does that involve a boat that's eating up other boats?
No, that is a boat that's eating up other boats.
Because it's a remake of You Only Live Twice.
No, not at all. No.
But do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, yeah, right, done. End of the podcast.
So I've totally lost track now.
Okay.
So there we are. I think we know where we are. And Blofeld's imprisoned. He's like, just shoot me, Bond. And Bond's like, no, I won't. I walk away. Yeah. I never felt that was a big crux decision problem for him as a character.
I never saw him really conflicted at any point with that. And it was like, do leave him alive, because you don't introduce a villain that big within the Bond universe. You don't reintroduce that to kill him off.
I liked the Spectre intro enough. I find that there's something really creepy about superimposing footage of people's eyes onto other real-time footage where the eyes aren't perfectly where they should be. So there's just a lot of, like, the eyes were quite close together when they were throwing it.
Loved their tentacle porn.
Oh, yeah, big fan of that, personally. And I thought the song was good enough. Like, I
hated that fucking song.
Are you really... like a Radiohead standout or anything like that?
Am I a Radiohead standout? Okay, what does that mean?
Because Radiohead wrote the original score for that. They were commissioned to do it.
I remember this. Yeah. No, I was not aware of that. I just really don't like that guy's voice.
Okay. I mean, yes, it's absolutely not a belter. It's just one that goes a bit high in places. Kind of what we've just heard. Another one that's not really a belter, just has a few high notes.
I made this point to you, and I don't really know how to frame it without sounding terrible. Should always be a woman for those kinds of songs, man.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. I just.
The women do the belters.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, the good belters. No, this isn't about spousal abuse.
No, okay, right. Okay, yeah. No, but do you think when Tom Jones did Thunderball, that was a belter of a different, a different colour.
And that's what works there. And we're going to talk about it. Is which instrument is stepping forward? And in Thunderball, you had the da 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 ba ba.
Yeah,
that is a key.
right.
I don't even know what you call a key stanza of Bond, or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was like that's two pillars held up that track. That bit and Tom Jones.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Okay.
So now we find ourselves right here this evening, going to see No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
So we're going to talk vaguely about our thoughts and responses, because this is still no spoilers.
Yeah, and we don't know what each other thought, which is exciting.
My first kind of spoiler-free thought was there was a sense of melancholy hanging over almost all of it.
Yeah, for sure. And how much of that is informed by the knowledge that it's his last one? How much of it is informed by the knowledge that we've had to wait so long? I mean, obviously it was long in the making. It was delayed by a year because of the pandemic. But within the film, just taking all that out of the equation, I totally agree with you. And
a keyword that I was actually thinking a lot, especially in the beginning, kind of like opening sequence and stuff that was happening, is, he's grumpy. They're all grumpy.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's very happy for various reasons. Nobody's very proud of themselves.
You're not having any fun, are you, Sean?
What's that from? I don't get it.
Face Off.
Oh my God. Oh, sorry. I haven't seen that in
a long time.
I don't think I've seen that in a single sitting, let alone.
What? Oh my God.
I remember the bit at the end where he's got the push knife and his two golden handguns, and he gets on his knees. He's like begging for forgiveness. He's reaching with massive handguns. It's like, yo, dude, the guns, the massive handguns he's famous for. Don't let him reach for the gun. Do you know, like it's a sly dagger that he's remembered his boots. Anyway, sorry, this is a complete tangent.
No.
Don't take his face. Just no.
I want to take his face.
Just off. Oh God!
We needed to re-energize each other with that. To be able to talk about it.
He's the Shatner of the late 90s. He is. Yeah. He's a modern masterpiece.
Never saw Cage punch out guard yet.
It's
so coming though. It's definitely coming.
Have you seen the? Just a quick question. Have you seen the one about the truffle pig?
No.
I have. I might have been a mistake. I watched one key scene from that film on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I need to watch this movie.
I hear it's incredible. Yeah, and it's definitely going on the list at some point. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, just wanted to make sure it's coming up.
Yeah.
So a certain melancholy hanging over the film. This is like in terms of how the characters carry themselves. There are reasons for this. Nobody's super proud of what they've been up to recently.
No.
But it hangs that dour edge that it's still all for Bond action. There's a lot of surprising loud Bond moments that play into stuff which is quite interesting. The camera work is pretty energetic where it needs to be.
Yeah.
A particular character that I've had the hots for since Blade Runner 2049 felt almost like a cartoon character.
Yeah, which was not what I expected.
As we were going through the film, by the end of it, I was just like, that had some really, really good bits.
Yeah.
The bad guy mode, how it treats one bad guy, I was a little bit disappointed with. Mm-hmm. How it treats another bad guy, I was just like, oh, that's his motivation? Yeah. It's some crazy man rambling? Like, that's your agenda?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no.
There was one villain I was really happy with, and another I was just like,
And, we'll talk about which is which in a minute.
Weak piss,
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Drink your weak lemon drink.
Well, there's something else that came to mind, but it's just completely escaped me. It felt like a very strange dissociative experience.
Yeah.
If that
makes sense. Overall, spoiler free, did you enjoy it?
It's been a while since I've been to the cinema.
Yeah. I did. We went to see this in the IMAX, by the way. You know, it's like because there is no 3D anymore. It's all 2D, and I thought, no, we need to see this in the IMAX for sure.
I enjoyed plenty of this, absolutely. I remember thinking to myself, it's nowhere as near, but I was like, this is quite a hectic James Bond movie. This feels like it's paced like a Mission Impossible movie.
That's interesting, because I was thinking pretty much the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. In terms of its pacing, I was like, this is really taking its time. Does it need to be this long?
I wasn't saying I thought it was a Mission Impossible movie, but I told you it was going to be paced like a Mission Impossible. Never said it was one of the Mission Impossibles you'd like. I thought the camera work was really good. The cinematography for some bits was lush or equally grim.
Yep.
There's a bit where he's swimming up from some wreckage, and that it's all murky and red.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, that's horrible. And like, oh, like I swim away from that. I don't like it. Great shot. But I kind of feel like all the characters weren't the characters that we'd love. Not because they weren't them or they were misrepresented, but because they were all at a time in their life that was not one where they were at their finest.
Almost as if the year-long wait to release the film had affected the characters in some way.
Oh, dude, I legit thought something super weird and meta like that in my head. Going back to Everyone's Grumpy, I was like, everyone's angry because we've all had such a shit time, and they couldn't make this, and all the characters are stuck in this.
Right, and they're fucking knackered.
Yeah.
Waiting.
The Bond theme song, what did you think? The titles?
I really do like that song. Somebody described it to me as phoned in at 3 a.m. from LA with a cocaine hangover, and I thought that is really ungenerous. I really like that theme song.
I need to listen to it again, because since we talked about Skyfall, I can only remember Skyfall.
You can only hear Skyfall?
Yeah, legitimately.
Wow.
A lot of the visuals, it's the crumbling of Rule Britannia and all that sort of stuff.
They just like
they randomly threw that motif in later right at the end as well.
I know, right? And it's kind of, I don't know whether that, because it didn't really have any significance within the film, but it's more a signal the end of this Bond era, I guess. But,
so this is what,
and thrown in some of that visual representation of what he is.
There's visual representation in the Bond intro's title that links to some visual elements in the movie.
Which
those elements are all part of the throwback stuff. They're all references.
Yeah.
So the titles referenced the references in the film, but not the essence of the film. Yeah. Unless those bits that I was wildly missing. Like there was what did you think overall of this film? Spoiler free, obviously.
Overall, not what I wanted. Largely, not what I came for. Not what I wanted to have waited for. Good bits, but as a whole, didn't quite hang together for me.
Similar,
honestly.
Yeah. Similar feeling.
Right. Okay.
So I come out of some movies where I'm just like, I'm not really sure what I felt about a few of those bits. I need to think about it.
Do you know?
And I forget that if I don't feel that, I come out of a movie thinking I loved it. And I sometimes think maybe I need to think my way around to loving it.
I mean,
but I have to feel it where I don't.
I allow for a second viewing to settle what I really feel about it. But that thing of like send them out on Rage Against the Machine. Didn't get that.
No. We didn't for particular reasons.
But I didn't come out feeling elated that I had sat through that.
Some of the shots felt borderline. Oh my god! I was going to say experimental, but that's way too far down the road.
Oh yeah. Come on.
What do you call it when you're trying to just capture a feeling? I had this word earlier. Sorry, guys.
Evocative.
Evocative. Yeah, it's. It'll come back to it.
Yeah, I've no idea.
But when it's not literal, it's
figurative.
Yeah, but anyway, So there's some shots where like a certain character's escaping on a boat towards the end.
Yeah.
And the shot of them is literally them smiling going into the light. And it's just like, oh, wow, that's just very wild for a shot. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't literally what was... it was literally what's happening, but it's shot in a way that it was pure metaphor.
Right. I was getting a little bit tired. And it was almost like my brain was taking like micro naps. And now I know that I wasn't, but it just felt like even as long as it was just snipping little bits.
Oh my God, I had that. After certain people have gone on a boat and somebody goes back into the island to do something.
Yeah.
That scene was just a series of moments for me.
Right.
Until...
Like, there was no...
Do you have any other non-spoiler thoughts? Because I feel like we need to
just get into it. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for listening along as ever. Those are the ends of our spoiler-free thoughts on James Bond. It's a very interesting one. It's got some really good bits, some interesting bits. It was an odd experience, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. Not... And it's funny because I've seen other films since the cinemas reopened, since we started getting back to life, that have felt like, this is why I go to the cinema, you know? And this is not why I go to the cinema. It's the best way I can put it. It's not what I come for.
I just, I didn't like seeing characters I expected to be more shining beacons. Boiled down to not just real people like we've had before, but boiled down to people really just worn out and not having a great time with it.
No, that's
and
it.
I'm not like bitching about actors or filming. I'm talking about like the writing of the characters and where people are at.
Yeah.
So guys, we are going to go into our spoiler-heavy part of the discussion. We're probably just going to start marching through the film in order.
Dumbledore's gay. Bruce Willis is already dead. You know, get over it, kind of thing. This is where we are.
Oh my
now.
God, is that what happened in the first Die Hard? he died in the vents right at the beginning where he lit and he got gas poisoning. Come to the left, have a few laughs.
Go into the light, have a few laughs.
And it was his ghost for the rest of it.
Yeah. And then I feel like you made some mention of him earlier. Oh, I was trying to tie it back. No, never mind. No, let's not get lost in that.
So yeah, thank you very much for listening. Obviously do watch the film first before you listen to this bit. We're just gonna, unless you hate yourself, we're just gonna dive in.
Or unless you're looking for a reason to hate us.
Yeah, I mean,
we've spoiled it for you.
Shall we just... Jesus Christ, I don't need another.
Yeah.
Shall we just kind of work through the film in order?
Right, let's give it a go.
I want to definitely keep a feeling on the themes and the nods.
Right.
Very first thing is we've got static Bond, gun barrel sequence shot, no messing about, goes into the cold open.
Do you know what the weird bit about that for me was the Universal logo tying into that?
All right,
the way the Universal logo.
Let's go one. I'll do you one better.
Okay.
Let's go back to the Paramount logo.
All right.
Is it Roaring? Is that Paramount for Roaring Lion?
No, MGM.
Oh, MGM. I'm so sorry. It translated the Latin.
Yeah.
Over a close-up of the logo over the MGM line, pulled out. The Universal logo was looking sleek and silver with like golden edges.
Yeah.
Then went into your gun barrel.
Yeah.
Instant. Like anything that's like aggressive gun barrel moving, Dr. No.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh wow, I'm already getting a Dr. No vibe. And then I was just like, No Time to Die. Dr. No. I was like, is something getting out? I was like, is this... Has like the answer to the movie been in the title the whole time? Do you know what I mean? I was like, is this going to be like some weird evocative Dr. No thing? And evocative it was.
Yeah, it certainly was. Yeah, for sure.
So it kind of tracks in, and anything where those gun barrel dots get multiplied up and diagonally across in those colours, pure Dr. No, wild Dr. No visuals.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've got the flashback within the cold open.
Yeah.
Young lady.
Which I thought it's like, this is not a Bond opening. You know,
I thought for a minute, I was just like, how weird to have a non-Bond cold open. But then I eventually realised, no, they've done that before. They've had cold opens which haven't been Bond focused.
Have they really?
From Russia with Love. It's all about, what's his name, killing a guy with a mask.
Oh yeah, but I mean, technically, sort of features Bond. He's just
that undermines my next example. Yeah. The Man with a Golden Gun has a guy going around.
No, that is a non-Bond opening. Yeah, you're quite right. Yep.
Although there's probably a Bond statue, I think.
There is a Bond statue, but technically, not technically featuring Bond, but a sort of Bond-like or something.
Yeah, in fact, you're right. But I think the whole point of Rush of Love was to make you go, "Oh my god,
they've killed Bond right in the opening," and then you find out it's not. Obviously, yes, no, that was strange. I liked the photography in that bit. I thought it was lit very well.
We've got the cabin in Norway. We start with the beleaguered breathing of a guy with a gun.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I thought that was interesting because it sounded like a death march.
Right.
Like that. Yeah. This is a guy who's already fucked.
And I thought, is this Bond?
I didn't get that vibe at all.
I was waiting to say, oh shit, is this Bond? Is like, are we gonna see now the rest of the film is gonna be what led up to this moment that he's coming to the end.
I didn't necessarily love the horror movie guy at the window where the little girl's like, mama, and then it cuts. And then she looks in the window again and there's a mask there. And it's just like, you almost expected like a sting, like something.
Yep.
It's just like, all right.
I know what you mean.
But I did love the whole, don't reveal it kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So as he's breaking in a back door, the other glass door's already sliding across. Mm-hmm. So you just see the shape come in. I love that camera work.
Yeah, that was all great, and I liked how it was almost like the only light. It was like they amplified the natural light, so that the natural light is bouncing off the snow, and it's got that sort of
blowing
icy,
everything out as well.
Just weird sort of. There's a slight glow to everything, like it's quite unnatural. It's like, I'm on board with this. This is working.
The lens is either going to give you some brilliant white so that you can see something inside, or you're going to be able to see differences in the white, and the inside is going to be a black nightmare.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So I don't even know what the term is when you have we decide to limit the white balance range.
I can't remember.
But it was great.
It looked really good. Yeah.
I almost did and didn't love Tamagotchi to date the film. Like you know that this is in the past because the kid's playing with a Tamagotchi.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I was just like, totally I played with Tamagotchis. Don't show me that in a Bond movie. And then
mortality.
My second upset moment was that the character of Vesper Lind is 1 year older than me. She was born in 1983.
Oh shit!
And I remember watching James Bond as an adult back in 2006, barely having my shit together.
Right.
Watching this head accountant do incredible shit, and whenever I see that, I'm just like, well, they're grown-ups.
Right.
Forgetting that I'm like probably in my late 20s when that came out.
Do remember though? I mean, she might have had her shit together, but she didn't make it as far as you. So you still won. You still won.
Yo, flowers at the funeral, grinning all the way. Yeah, good shout. Out Vespered the Lind. But I remember like that character. She has like a story for Bond, which is like, I don't like guns. One day people came to my father's house,
right,
and I had the gun.
That's it.
This is obviously not that story.
No.
But you see the gun, you're just like, you understand exactly where we are before you see the Spectre ring.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was interesting enough. Saves her not drowned her. Brilliant, I guess. Cut to her thinking about it.
The thing is, I kind of knew that was going to be the case because, well, I mean, first of all, you already know who that is supposed to be, the child version of.
Yeah.
And then, but it never, and maybe it's the mask, but it was just that sort of like when she's running onto the ice and you start hearing it crack. I'm like, okay, well, we know she's going to make it through this. But secondly, there was like, I didn't feel the conflict from him in terms of like, is he gonna let her drown? It was like, it was obvious that he was gonna do that.
Yeah, I felt that was relatively inevitable. I did like that he was shooting. I don't know why, but I did like that he was shooting super close to her.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Like it wasn't like I don't know, like it wasn't spelling it out to the audience in a visual circle. Mm-hmm. He was just shooting up the ice right by her.
Right, yeah.
Almost too casually for someone who changed his mind about it.
Right. It's like, if I hate her, it doesn't really matter.
But okay, there you go. There's a past. This is all 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So this is fresh off the back of the other one where they're all kind of vibing around, like, let's go on holiday together. a Bond, it's probably because we're introduced from her POV into their time away, that Bond almost felt like a foreign element. And usually I'm used to starting a Bond movie on his side.
I get that. Yeah, for sure.
Because you're getting, I guess, her perspective on their relationship, I guess.
Yep.
But so, like, he goes grumpy. So she's like, you've got to solve your shit with Vesper, which is that's coming from somebody who's been through some shit. If she's gonna nail that down that early in their relationship,
yeah.
So okay, fair dues. I kind of felt like we'd finally he had done that, but if she needed him to do it, cool.
Yeah, I never really felt like that was an overhang, like a lingering thread that needed that. Like,
although to be fair, she'd probably, timeline-wise, just been in a building rigged to explode, full of photocopy printouts of Vesper's face.
Right.
Now that I think about it.
Well, yeah.
Now I actually think about it.
I guess.
She probably, like, last week was probably a real Vesper heavy kind of experience.
Just at the moment of orgasm, he called her Vesper.
Oh, no. Vesper. I mean, mother. I mean, no, babe. Babe.
Yeah. No, but for him, it was interesting, actually, because it was almost like, okay, I will go through the motions for you, but I don't really feel it. Until he got to the graveside, and then he has that little I miss you moment. And I was like, oh, there is... I felt that moment, but I didn't feel the...
But, so that's why it almost felt resolved to me. She was like, go say goodbye to her.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I forgive you. It's not like, I believe you.
No.
It's been on past that. He just misses her.
Yeah.
And that just seems completely exactly where he is with that.
But isn't it... It just struck me as kind of funny. It's like, yeah, I've brought you all the way here to say goodbye to your dead lover. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Why we're here.
I'm glad you're so committed to this relationship.
Right, yeah. I mean,
is this a red flag? Now, I know that, like, you're the daughter of a supervillain empire. We've killed a lot of people together.
I mean, if you want to show commitment, you could have just got me a Tamagotchi, you know?
She's not. She can never look at one ever again.
No,
I need you to say goodbye to the Tamagotchi.
Okay, we're going to need a real pet.
She goes off somewhere and pulls out the plastic slip that holds a battery. Then throws it in the sea. I did it for you, James. That's good. Now we can be together.
Yeah. So that wasn't a big resolution point for me. It wasn't a big emotional hit.
No, but I was happy enough with it because, like, in terms of the narrative, it wasn't that they were both on the same page almost, but it was very real. She needed him to say goodbye.
Yeah, she needed him to do that.
But he's already been there, but he's happy to do that for her.
Yeah.
Okay. That seems quite
real.
It
was interesting.
People out of sync, but going with the flow because you love them.
Right.
Big explosion.
Getting interrupted, I loved.
Yes, super interrupty, and I was still reeling from the fact that she was born in 1983, and I was just like, "Oh my fucking god!" Oh.
You didn't even register the explosion.
My ears were already ringing. I was just like, "No." Because I swear I was watching that Casino Royale, just like, look at these adults do amazing shit. One day I'll be an adult. But it turns out I'm 1 year younger than her. Like, do you know? And I was like, I didn't need to know that.
So you've got 1 year to get your shit together, starting now.
Turns out she's born in my hometown. just did better than me at school. Oh, shit.
She was next door.
No, too easy. I'd never know.
Yeah.
It's a big explosion.
Yeah.
I loved... obviously it's for better or for worse, but I loved Bond being deaf for the next bit of the fight. Yeah,
I was like, don't make that go on too long though, because I'm having a hard time with this.
Oh yeah, it's quite an audio nightmare. But I liked it because he's a little bit shell shocked. He's trying to call the phone. He's like, I can't fucking hear this.
No.
And then he's seen the people come down a bridge, and he has to get whipped by the bullets. The bullets have to cut into his, lucky it didn't go into his spine. And he turns around almost just like looking at, trying to work out what just tugged at his arm.
What the fuck? Yeah.
So I like that because I was like, I've seen, you've got Bond in a beautiful ancient village town. I've seen this a million times. How do you change it?
Yeah.
And it's hardly like a mechanic that then informs the rest of the fight or anything.
Yeah.
But it starts off with him being deaf to it.
Yeah, sure.
And just being like, oh, fuck.
And I guess it's that sort of, because it's implied, I mean, it's not like the next day after Spectre, but he's been out of the service for a bit at this point. And it's almost like he needs that. The bullet is the reminder. It's sort of like a trigger for him to get back into Bond mode. It's like, oh no, I've forgotten how to do this, and then you just kind of
right. He has to suddenly. Oh wait, so now I have to make an all or nothing leap off his bridge now because I remember I'm in a life or death situation.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
There's no like standing around shell shocked. I can't do that.
No,
That's
can't
not
do
what
that.
I'm allowed.
No time.
You had the guy with the eye
With
that
the
just
eye.
springs open when it comes out.
Where I thought I was going to really get on with this film, right, which I ended up not, sadly, but where I thought I was really going to get on with it was when he got introduced. Blofeld sends his regards. I'm like, oh, we are back. We are heading into like classic fucking shit here. I'm like, oh god, I'm so on board for this, because that was just, that line was just it was an indicator of, yeah, we're still after you. Spectre is still this fucking, the head might have been cut off, but we're still here. I'm like, yes.
And it's just like, how are they going to do this and not be Mission Impossible Fallout? Although to be fair, they're such worlds apart.
Oh yeah,
it was never too much. But like, I was always just like, yo, something still affects something else.
You're right.
We've got that fall over narrative, and it's not just like James Bond making a quip that referenced to 2 movies ago.
No, exactly.
Very much A is affecting B right now.
Yeah.
I like that enough. I thought the stunt work was great. A bit of choking out and kind of smacking the guy's head. It was all fun. I thought when the guy's eye came out and it just kind of like pinged on the spring, was just kind of like opened up a bit.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's so interesting. And then I don't know why, but in the universe of the Daniel Craig James Bond, using the word bionic is wild. That was like, wow, you're gonna say he's got a bionic eye.
Right.
And I was just like, I don't know why, but that's what you write into a kid's cartoon. He's got a bionic eye. It's not like, I don't know, it's not like this fake eye has a camera in it. It's not like a transponder. I don't know how, but they were just like, he's got a bionic eye.
He's got a bionic eye.
Like,
yeah.
Fuck me dead, he does.
I did like him, was beginning to choke him out and then just like fucking him off a wall.
Yeah. It's just like,
no,
got shit to do.
No time for that.
I don't have the seconds.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, years of distrust start rumbling to the surface because he's shell-shocked and he's fucked.
Right, yeah.
And he gets back and the suitcases are packed. Oh, no, but wait, they had that discussion. What is going on? Why is her phone ringing? And then it's obviously, the point is, I can take this relationship away from him.
Right.
That'll just ruin his day again.
This is it. And it's not in that, I mean, everything's kind of, he wasn't consciously thinking about it, but he's just not in the right frame of mind following that, and like not in the right frame of mind to make any sort of decision, and yet he's in that heat of the moment. He's got to make those decisions, and he's back to life or death. Nothing matters except the mission sort of
and
thing.
if you can't resolutely decide yes or no, then your answer's already clear. You have to cut the danger out.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
And so there's a bit where they're like, they're having their fun in the car. I'm loving all of that. And he's just sitting there grumpy, and she's like, please, I'm not fucking around. And he's just having a little grumpy sit. I was like, look, that's such like you've had an argument in the house. You both have to go get the shopping. The argument has almost continued to the car. Something's been said, and you sit there grumpy before you start the engine.
Right. The other aspect of that is that he knows how fucking bulletproof that car is. And he can afford. This is his time out. This is his like.
And you're right. That's the first mental break he's had since a bomb went off in his face.
Right. Yeah. You're just like,
to sit in a bulletproof car.
Yeah, reset. Okay. Now we're going to do something about it.
Okay. I'm processing them, processing how I'm going to get out. I'm processing your involvement and how I feel about it.
Right. And it's just like, okay. And then as soon as he says that, we're back in. I love. It is silly, but the idea of, they blew up the Aston Martin, which had the twin machine guns. Now it's got twin mini guns. It's like, why not? Because that is an upgrade you want, right?
I remember he's power revving it and like
he's like doing fucking donuts.
I remember there's the one good thing I can say about Die Another Day is they really made a Bond car with twin shotguns that came out and scoped around.
Yep.
And I remember it being on a television show which I despise, but they were talking very particularly about cars. Cars that go in that gear at the highest point.
Can you name the?
Mama Bear, Daddy Bear, Baby Bear, they're all bullies on British television.
Yeah, right. The Stuart Lee thing.
But I remember them saying, like, in order to fit in the shotguns, they had to take out the engine of the car and put in, like, a V6 just to make it all happen. Mm-hmm. And I vaguely remember that model Aston Martin is tiny. And you've got miniguns and some massive sounding engine in there. I'm just like, where is that? Not that it matters. But I'm just like, where is that fitting? Like, but hey, live your life. Go be happy.
Yeah, if you can.
I'm just trying to think if there was like because there was a few random throwbacks that got a noise out of me.
Got a noise out of you?
I was just like, I see what you did. Yeah. There's something that you laughed at out loud that we're going to get back to later.
Okay.
Because your reaction made me laugh and it made a random person in the cinema laugh.
Really? Did I? Yeah, okay.
So they're zipping around. What happens then? They get to the train station. He's like, you've got to go. I don't know that I can trust you. Yep. And I'm really moody.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. And he's like, no. I'm going to fuck this off.
Yeah.
That's like, I've been played perfectly.
Yeah.
I can't 100% trust you. And people have very genuinely tried to kill me. And maybe you. And we had that telephone call. You just got, thank you so much for luring Bond. Your death will be a glorious thing for spared. Real dickhead move.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang, 5 years later.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, during that drive, the music cue, We Have All the Time in the World.
Oh my God, yeah, back when at the beginning.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which you think, is she going to get killed?
She's fine. I can't even remember what they said at the end of it. She's just sleeping or something.
She's just resting. Yeah, it's like, oh God. But that seemed a bit too obvious. They played that too bluntly for me to go, oh yeah, they're going to kill her off.
I don't know if it's here or at a different point, but they did a tiny bit of Bond motif, but they did it really hard on a 60s guitar. A 60s electric rock guitar. Down, down. And that, again, it fit right back into the Doctor knowing.
Yep. So we get the title. We come back, it's 5 years later. And he is just kind of... I mean, what is he doing, really?
No, we're not there, are we? We are in London now. Before we get to him.
Yeah, sorry.
Because he's literally doing a Skyfall again.
This is it. No, we get the break-in.
Yeah.
For the lab. Can I just say at this point, while we're here at the lab, that
emotionally, mentally, whilst we're all at the lab physically, at some point.
Yeah, we're at the lab, but we're the dog in the cage. That fucking doctor, like, go back, edit that film again, and kill him off immediately. That was,
you hated him?
It was one of those fucking
things. So this is where these bad guys were getting a bit vaguely evil.
Yes.
So this is the start of the vaguely bad guy vibe.
Evil?
Yeah. It's like, you will have your body played, and they're all kind of laughing it off, and then you realise, oh no, he's actually like, he's not Spectre, but he knows he's under their thumb, and eventually he's got to do the thing.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, he's Dr. Nasty. Could wipe out your entire race.
Right.
And you're just like,
but it was the accent. It seemed very in the way that films construct people with heavy accents to just be funny because of the sound of their accent, as opposed to them being funny characters. It's just like, he's saying something in that sort of silly accent, and the English is a little bit broken, and it's funny because of that. I just like, aren't we past this? I mean, really? This is bollocks.
I wasn't in love with him as a character, but I was okay vaguely. It's because it's a science place, so you've got the world's finest minds and whatever science is happening, and they all come together. Science is
you
about
gotta take
borders.
an interest in Science!
No. Sometimes we just don't know what's going on with the targeted virus. But like, fucking, what's his name? It was the
Hugh Dennis.
So who's the guy from Spaced?
The guy from Spaced. What guy?
He's in Mission Impossible Fallout.
Oh, Simon Pegg.
I was just like, there's our Simon Pegg.
There's our Simon Pegg, yeah.
And
if only it was.
And so they're obviously just like, they're going to take you away, and it's a horrible thing, and you've got the guy from 5 years ago as part of the Spectre hit squad. Okay, I'm following along.
Mm-hmm.
Visually fun, wild stuff, for bomb that spreads, for magnets as it falls. Very specific tools.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, Spectre still is equipped and funded for shit like that.
Yeah.
Spectre's not like, we've got our backup cells going.
No,
they're still
right, yeah.
doing
they're not,
A-game shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I kind of thought for a minute that, because they were just like, they're under instructions not to kill you, so do what they say.
Yeah.
I kind of wondered if that was a red herring, and that Hugh Dennis was another agent told the exact same thing. And that, like, they've got one to get him to go along, but he's just like, because he's like, I need him to open the doors.
Yeah, that was a bit funny, wasn't it?
But obviously they get out the super weapon. I want to say Hydra, but it's like, it's Hercules or something?
Heracles.
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 Don't get confused between Hercules, Heracles, or Hecalion.
Right.
Or
Hyperion, or Endymion.
Yeah, Iliad crew will come get you. Iliad and Odyssey boyos will come
By the way,
get you.
on the subject of Heracles, what the fuck was that?
It was I actually thought it was a targeted RNA virus.
Right.
And then they just, because like, collectively we understand DNA. In the intro titles, they had double helix DNA guns.
Right.
And then they were just like, it's nanobots.
Right.
I was sort of like, targeted RNA virus makes a lot of sense. Does it have to be nanobots?
It was nanobots. Okay.
Let me jump right to the end.
Yeah.
Those nanobots, they're in your system forever.
Yeah.
They're eternal. That's a weird thing to say. That's a weird line, man. I was like, that is a specific line. That is a context-aware line to have. You don't understand, Bond. It's eternal. It lasts longer than the love between a father and a daughter.
Right.
I'm just picking metaphors randomly here, Bond.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
not very comfortable.
Nanobot virus, RNA sequenced.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
The guy was, so I didn't know, so it's one of those things where you just like, you go along and it does make a bit more sense. What data was the guy swallowing versus what he was sharing with Spectre?
Yeah. I thought he was actually swallowing the virus.
It was just a little thumb drive, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I thought he was actually like, sort of like
Mission Impossible 2, the haircut.
Yes, yeah. I thought it was along those lines, so I totally missed the point on that one.
Tom Cruise's haircut versus oh yeah. Oh, but wait, that's Hydra. That was Hydra. You can only administer the antidote to Hydra after 24 hours, before 48.
Is that right? I barely remember that film either.
That's I'm gonna go over.
We'll go with that. Yeah,
I remember he had a beanie and his locks were long and John Woo loved
double
him.
guns, pigeons, the
end. Brilliant. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So following that, we find Bond, just coasting basically.
He's doing a Skyfall. He's drinking a beer with a Scorpion. He's just vibing.
That's it. And then his old buddy Felix, double helix Felix.
Yeah, Felix. He's still with the CIA.
Yeah,
but he looks worse than Bond. He looks totally out of the game. Fresh young Captain Smile a lot. but that's him in a nutshell, isn't it? Infinite Verse Seeds. Oh wow, you like that one?
Your penchant for names. I've really missed that.
This is all I got because I can't remember his name. I have to assign him from what I can remember.
Nobody else that I know does this. It's fucking great.
Okay, fair enough.
Felix is a big problem for me in this film.
Oh, he. I feel like, how to put it? In the first Bond film, I feel like for the brief moments we got in with Felix.
Yes.
Turns out I'm your brother from Langley.
Yeah.
I think you can go back into the game.
Yeah.
Even when we're just on the plane, and he's just like, I don't recognise that agent. That's why I eat the peppers. I feel like we got in with Felix. And then I feel like in this one, it's almost like Felix used to be our mate, and he hasn't hung out with us anymore, but he knows you can still get him some drugs. And he's just like, hey, Barn, no, I got one last thing. No, you remember me. It's Felix. We're friends. We've got to do a thing. Right. It's just kind of like, you kind of like bundled in as a character straight into that scene.
Yeah. Now because obviously Felix is not a major character in the other films, but he's definitely a through line. He crops up quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Through the Connery and the Moore era, and then he gets into that shark water. But what you're saying in terms of his appearance in Casino Royale, I'm like, oh, this is the beginning. I could feel the start of something between them, even in that brief exchange. I'm like, I like these two together. You
want that? It's almost, it's not, but it's like, oh, here's 006. What does another fucking agent look like?
Yeah.
Wait, what does the American James Bond look like? What's his vibe?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I think Bond could beat Felix in a fight, but I think Felix knows shit that Bond doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah, it was getting a great sense of that. But we've skipped their entire journey to get to this stage. Like, we haven't seen them being friends. We're told that they're being friends. It's the Anakin and Obi-Wan thing again. And you're just like...
We've been through so much together, Bond.
Right. Have we? Oh, well, did we have time? No, we didn't have time to show
I think it was just like the whole... Because Bond's obviously now, like, he's not a working agent. Yeah. And he's just like, yo, I need to get you in for one last hustle. It's kind of like...
Really?
Felix, you son of a bitch. I'm in. You're just kind of like, oh, I don't want that vibe.
No, not particularly. And it was kind of... I never felt that the thing was so urgent that you needed to get him in. He treated it too casually. And I just don't feel the vibe here. I don't feel their association. If we'd had a couple of films between this, between Casino Royale and this, where he made an appearance and they were maybe doing a bit of mission together, or like they had more interaction, I could have felt that.
Was he in Spectre or Skyfall?
No, he was in Quantum of Solace for
move your ass.
Yeah, it's like,
cheers. I think you're right. Like at least one of those other films, I would have liked to have seen
something
just to get to whatever he was now.
Yeah. But we've skipped like 5 chapters again.
Because I almost thought, like, the way he was presented and the way that he acted, I was like, oh, has Felix turned? I wonder if this is Felix leading Bond into a trap, because it just feels off.
Well, it almost felt like Felix had done the same as Bond. He was just like, he was off the official radar.
Yeah.
Doing wild
I was
shit.
very much prepared for him to be like, okay, actually what I'm trying to do isn't sanctioned.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to do it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But like, he looked like, I mean, he always had a beard, but like, he looked like he hadn't shaved.
Yeah.
Compared to having a beard before.
Yeah. And I was just not keen. And then it was sort of semi-inevitable where it was going with him. Obviously, we're into spoiler territory. He ends up dying. Totally flat moment for me. I felt absolutely nothing in that at all.
Yeah.
I didn't want that character to die, but when he did die, I was just, I don't care.
Yeah, I wasn't in there. I wasn't in the moment.
And I know we've skipped ahead a bit, but just while we're talking about this particular character,
like,
it was just...
You go down, I think this might be my last mission. Oh, okay. A bit of banter. That's
a bit like, my wife and I just bought a boat.
No, but it like...
They'll live forever.
Even though it was super brief, like, I felt Bond's brief, disconnected conversation with Mathis more appropriate.
Yeah.
Than because obviously the explosion goes off and he pulls Felix out of water.
Yep.
And he's just like, oh, it was a good life, wasn't it, Band? Bad? And he's like, yes, Felix, the best.
Mendoza!
It's just like, I was like, wait, what dialogue is this? I just like, and I guess, look, you're going to say whatever you want to say at the end, but it's like, we had a good life. Yes, Felix, the best life, darling. And I was like, what is that?
And later when it comes to that, when Captain Smile-A-Lot is, under the car, he's like, oh, help me out, brother. He's like, I had a brother, his name was Felix. Like, it didn't ring, it rang hollow. And also it was very like, and you was someone else you pissed off.
Yeah.
His name was Phil.
Yeah, I had a brother, and I was just like, wait, you're talking about Blofeld? His name is Felix Leiter. Oh, you're not talking about Blofeld.
No, you're not talking about Blofeld.
Like,
yeah.
Because that was a major story arc that you had a brother.
And it was enough to have Felix shot and have that threat on his life. For him then, for the explosion to happen, I was like, he's never going to find the body. And then he drags him up and he's still alive, and it was just the pacing of it was just not right. I couldn't get in sync with that.
This is kind of why it felt a bit Mission Impossible-y for me, because they would do the thing and have the action, and the rest wouldn't be a whole scene of rest. It would be a cue into a sudden bit of more action.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pin it down perfectly, but that's why it had that Mission Impossible rhythm.
I know.
They always make sure something is doing something.
I get what you mean. Yeah, for sure.
Let's dive back in. So you met Felix. He's past 007 in the club. Mm-hmm. Good bit of eye contact. She gives him a lift after she's fucked with his van. Mm-hmm. I like their introduction enough, because she goes into the bedroom and she drops the accent, and within that she drops the wig and the accent. So the wig, wait, people wear wigs, okay.
Yeah.
But when she drops the accent and sits down, her body language shifts a little bit.
Yeah.
And Bond catches up kind of during that half sentence.
Yeah.
I like that nothing was overplayed there. It was then into I'm a hyper capable agent, and Bond's like, and I've dealt with young whippersnappers like you. I'd let me give you some advice kind of thing. So she's like, she's basically followed Felix to Bond or something along those lines, because she's aware that Bond does have some knowledge of Heracles.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't take the job with Felix. Mm-hmm. I'm off now. See you later. That's your warning shot across the bow.
Yeah. Do you know what? She's never the same after that scene.
You don't think so?
No, it felt like a different character to me. After that bit. I really liked her in that scene, and then subsequently it was just like, nah, not feeling it. Do you think because that scene introduced her as quite possibly hyper capable, but the next scene is her going, wait, what number 00? As the comedy moment in the meeting. Yeah.
That didn't necessarily feel like that was a great shout for her character.
While we're on that, skipping ahead again, sorry, because we're talking about this. Yeah, that undermined her a little bit.
We're talking, are we? You're fucking observant. Sorry, you didn't deserve that.
Wow. Okay, see ya.
You're here. Yeah, I think I'm tired after that Bond. Yeah, just got really moody.
You are Bond.
I was terrified you were going to knock over this apparatus.
Right. Yeah. So it undermined her, the way she was introduced, and then towards the end you get that. I request Bond to be reassigned 007 status.
Oh God.
And you go, what?
Oh, yeah.
For what? For why? What?
Yeah, she was like, I want him to, she was like, no, I request that he be number 7.
Yeah, it is just a number. Well, if it's just a fucking number, why make that... Who cares?
So what I was trying to do then is I was trying to dial back, and I was like, when did he win her respect?
Yeah.
When did they do a thing together when she was just like, do you know what? This guy is out of date and I don't necessarily like him. When push comes to shove, he's as professional as I am.
Yeah.
And give that man his number. I'm down. I don't care enough.
No.
He can have it. Yeah. Because I would happily give it to him.
Right. No.
And what did they do before that? She picked him up in the car after the Land Rover chase that he was
after
in.
Captain Smile bet it.
And he did say thank you, thanked her, didn't he? She was like, I'll come with you on that flight.
Yeah.
And he says, thank you, 007. So it might have been as simple as that.
That's pretty base shit.
Yeah, but so this is where I'm just like, these agents know that life is fleeting, so they go probably off micro moments of interaction with people.
Yeah, right.
And he took that moment to lower his guard enough to thank her for her help.
Yeah.
So there's like an element of acceptance there. Is it enough for a layman like me? Maybe not. Can I imagine that might be enough in their universe? Possibly at a push.
Yeah, I just no. It was just shit.
So we're going back, I don't know why, but like, I'd kind of imagine from the trailers, she was like, there'd be a bit more stuff where she directly outperforms him and out physically does him.
Yeah. Or that there is a bit more heat, there is a bit more challenge.
Yeah.
And not in that sort of comedic, which number did he get? But actually, like, you're getting in my fucking way now.
So, circa Tomorrow Never Dies, when they're both sneaking into the building,
right?
Or both trying to sneak out.
Yeah.
Like something. Now they kind of have that in that they're both there to grab the same person.
Mm-hmm.
But it still didn't feel like a fun. And maybe fun's not the right word because that's not something that happens too much in this film. But like a direct, it didn't feel like that was the point of that exchange to make Bond and her kind of like measure against each other.
No,
they were just both in those scenes.
Yeah.
Whereas
they weren't really pitted against each other.
Whereas Tomorrow Never Dies, when his good man and Michelle Yeoh getting their sweet selves out of the building.
Yeah.
There's just those moments where they acknowledge or address where they both are in that escape.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, here's the. It's not necessarily respect, but it's two agents who enjoy being good at their job.
Yeah,
and they can
see
that.
Just happen to cross each other, just like wink, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that fun.
Yeah, it didn't have that play.
No.
Instead, what it had is one of the most beautiful women in the world as a really comedically nervous but hyper capable fresh agent. And I didn't have a problem with any of it.
Right.
But I was just like, what are we doing here exactly?
Yeah.
When he's like, oh, maybe you should turn around. I was like, yo, she's got to turn around for the old man because he's going to put on a suit. And he's not necessarily happy being watched by the hot girl he thought he was just about to kiss and all that. Because she's super dismissive of him. She doesn't kind of go, ugh. Like, she doesn't go, you're really old or anything like that. But she's just like, no.
Yeah.
And I liked that. And then I liked that he was just like, well, in that case, turn around if I'm going to put my suit on. So I was like, yeah, turn around for Bond.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Turn around for Bond.
It's 2021. Yo, turn around for Bond.
Yeah,
right. He needs to take his pants off. It's not all about you.
No, right.
Now, as a character, as like a fantasy girlfriend who's hyper nervous but loads of fun and she can murder people super capably, dreamboat. But I don't want like an anime fantasy girlfriend in a James Bond movie.
Right. Now, if this was Weird Science, that would be your pick.
Mate, she's such a gorgeous actress.
Is, and phenomenally gorgeous.
How are you gonna do it?
Yeah, absolutely incredibly looking.
So she's like, I've only had 3 weeks training. He's like, good, but like, there's no Agent Strawberry Fields nervousness. There's no. Is it Diamonds or Forever where someone fires a machine gun and falls over backwards off of something? To be fair, I think that's actually insulting to the character. I can't even remember what it's from, but as I remember that scene, I think that's actually an insult. I can't even remember what it is.
I don't remember actually. I vaguely remember that happening, but I couldn't tell you which film it is.
So it was all pretty good. I wasn't really following Bond's combat. I noticed I was following her fighting.
Yeah.
I was following what 007 was doing, but I wasn't really keeping track of Bond's fight on top of a balcony. He kind of just tumbles in afterwards.
Yeah,
and it was all. The stuff was there, but it lacks me kind of fully understanding. How about it? There's the balance between life or death. There's often, if there's an extra character, there's often a bit where Bond is literally struggling for her life and has to kind of ironically be like, please press that button so I don't die, or please do this thing.
Yeah.
Please pass me that gun with a nod or wink. And she's hyper capably dual wielding handguns and machine guns and taking people down and super kicking them, and it looks brilliant because she looks great in that dress.
Yeah. But
I feel like the play of what a good, enjoyable Bond fight was, I just didn't have that rhythm being in there.
Yeah. It was not like, we talked about Casino Royale. It was not like that stairwell fight,
yeah. Well, that was, to be fair, that was a grim, gritty nightmare. But but
you felt the moves, you felt the pace, you felt the meatiness of the combat. You were all the way in with him. You were keeping time with him.
Whereas
Definitely not there.
I tuned out of what Bond was doing in that sequence
to watch her. Yeah. Fair enough, really.
See kind of like what 007 was up to and stuff, and that was all fine. And this guy's obviously, so going back a bit. Then going back is guys, we've got a lead for this is all. There's a big Spectre meeting in Cuba. And again, it's like, if you've got how to put it, you have to, if something, if something is the final boss in a video game in the first in the series, by the second of the series, that final boss is just a relatively strong bad guy because you have to up the stakes.
Yep.
And I felt like we had to do a similar thing where we lowered the difficulty of infiltrating Spectre. In the Spectre film, it was kill this guy and go to the funeral and make note of who attends. And you're just like, this is wild spy shit. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
And in this one, we got to go and we're going to meet all the Spectres. And now it's like they're having a meeting in Cuba. Go to Cuba.
Yeah,
was it Cuba or Colombia? Much love to all my South African friends.
Sure, it was Cuba.
Okay. Go to... Oh, she's Cuban, isn't she, that actress?
She might be.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Go to Cuba, there's a Spectre meeting. And it's like a Spectre semi-orgy party, and you're like, oh, they're all here, and it's like, no, they're all here, they're just all here.
Yeah.
And so the guy switches the virus, and so it's like, okay, this is interesting, the Doctor's not on their play. And so then you're just like, okay, so the guy who gave the Doctor the warning phone call was someone else before the team broke in. That wasn't Spectre.
Right.
And he's done a switcheroo, and it's like, okay, what is this guy's vibe? But he's, how to put it, he was like Captain Clutchy. He was such a villainous Doctor. He was always clutching that briefcase and almost like hiding behind it, like.
Right, yeah, because he was doing that sort of weird, slightly nervous, but sort of semi-sure of himself, and never quite.
He reminds me of somebody from a Roger Moore film, and I can't quite nail it from the Roger Moore Bond.
Oh,
but there's somebody in there who's a bit like.
Oh god! Do you know what? It's just not coming to me. Yeah. I have a vague inkling that I know who you mean, though. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, Blofeld is like he's kind of basically just talking biblical level, enjoy my party shit.
Yeah.
But because it's without context, it's just weird enough that he looks like a crazy person.
Yeah.
But he's live streaming into like his powerful organization.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh. After Bond fucked up his eye, they gave him like a fucking optical
a cyber eye.
Yeah. Bionic Lego Bionic eyeball.
Right.
For them.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah. Okay. I'm down. So he's kind of there and they're walking around with the eye on a cushion. It's just like, all right, mate. They've got a fucking Crystal Maze guy. And so like he's just like, and how to put it? It's his new moment where, again, he's in a meeting. He's not physically there, but it's a meeting where he points out he's aware that Bond's there.
Yeah.
And everyone's aware that Bond's there.
Yeah.
And this time, Bond dies. But because the film knows that's not what's going to happen, we've got 45 seconds to get that information across. And then go straight to the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay. And... I don't know how to put it, but like they're just like all the Spectre's dead, and I'm just like, I feel like I need to soak that in a bit more as a concept.
Yeah, and I feel like, to have basically come to the film Spectre and say they are behind everything, to summarily just be able to wipe them out. Yeah, okay, so you're confirming the agency of the new bad guy, but you're also then just. You're undervaluing 4 fucking films for the sake of this one film.
And
in a sense,
if you
it's just like they should not be this easy.
And so this is where I start wondering, like, did they need to take a different path than Mission Impossible Fallout and get rid of their efficacy immediately for the sake of moving on and not falling in anyone's shadow? And did the fact that it boiled down to the scientist being like, whoops, I dropped it, and doing the switcheroo, did seeing that and being privy to that take away the shock factor and overall danger, like perceived threat level of the new bad guy?
I don't know. What it did, I did sort of like the thing that Blofeld is doing this from his cell, and it's like he's almost like he set this up. Here's Bond. By the way, this virus is only going to kill him. You guys are fine. And the switch is, it's Bond who's fine and the rest are all fucked.
Yeah.
I quite like that because he's sort of, it's set up that Blofeld has had this all planned in a sense.
Yeah.
So the organization is still powerful. It's still moving him like a sort of pawn.
And interestingly, he didn't inform them that he was going to go the virus method. He was live explaining the scenario to them.
Yeah. And then, but then it totally undercut that. It's one of those weird plot points that I appreciate the thinking, but I don't much like the execution, because I mean, like, it just what I said, it kind of ruins the other four in a sense.
So again, this is all working on paper. It doesn't feel like it's executed quite as well. It's an execution issue. I think it's coming up again.
Much like the Mandarin twist in Iron Man 3. Like, that's a great concept, but I just wish it wasn't introduced on the stink of the guy's shit, you know?
Well, Marvel's got that dead formula plus a hint of comedy to take it off danger vibe.
I don't need that here, you know.
You've just reminded me of, just whilst we're chatting, I want to go back to a nod that I fucking loved, because this is a real geek nod. After the Helicon virus Heracles thing is happening.
Heracles.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, I'm apologising to Greek misogynists. Ooh, contraposto, look at me. Yeah, I get it. Before when the Heracles information goes out, and obviously Bond was privy to the concept of Heracles, and you've got M looking like, oh god, I've fucked up. M's like, in the meeting, he's borderline muttering to himself in the corner about it. He's like, it wasn't supposed to be a mass murder. Like, he's really struggling with that shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow, like, things are grim.
Yeah.
But when he presses the button that opens the sliding panel to show the footage information, some of that footage information was black and white. One of it was presented on a big circular screen. That is pure 60s Bond info. And the sound effect that made them slide was the sound effect of the sliding doors that showed the model of Fort Knox from Goldfinger.
Was it really?
Same sound bet my career on
I heard you go.
It was just that. It was like,
right.
I was just like, what? It took me there instantly.
And I was like, what are you getting out of this that I'm not?
I was also having a wank.
Are you just having you got a big thing for a sliding panel?
I'm excited to be in the cinema again. I haven't seen as many people in my life.
The one thing that you have not been able to afford yet is sliding doors that reveal your tealing.
The end of my YouTube career is when I turn around and press like a button on something, and I've got a sliding panel on a wall to show something horrific behind it. That's the dream.
Okay, give it like 5 years. Yeah.
That is the dream.
I was just like, I've meant to ask you about that, because I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That was like just an audio cue reference. I was like, oh mate, you took me back there. Like, I legit was there.
I did not get that. Which shows you how out of sync I was getting with the film, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Because that certainly would have triggered me.
Because by then we're just like sitting there, it's like, oh god, this is miserable, and like underlit, and everyone's sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so they go for that shit, blah blah blah. Bond, unless there's another bit in the middle. But basically, we're sending Bond, and what is it? Oh, so Bond separately goes down there. He does the Cuba stuff.
Yeah.
Then he returns. So then he gets back onto the plane and goes to the boat with Felix.
Yeah.
Where I mean, it's interesting enough where he's just like, wait, who are you working for? And they're like, well, then who are you answering to? Who made you switch this?
Yeah.
And, again, it's classic spy stuff. Slowly, everyone in the room is trying to reach the correct conclusion, and some people are ahead of the others.
Yeah.
And then we catch up as other people are. Okay, I like those little moments. That's spy shit.
Yep.
Tussle for the gun. Felix, it looks like it's the end for me, Bond. One final cigar. All right, fine. Love the shot of Bond swimming away from the boat as he surfs in. That was talking about the boat, which is lit red.
The wreckage. Yep.
And it almost felt like the film was just like, okay, Bond's going to be fine because we need to carry on for film. Blink, here's a life raft. That felt meta.
Yeah, that was a Dr. No reference again.
Was it?
Yeah, where it felt like to me, because right at the end of that film, him and Honey Rider are in the little life raft, and then they come to get him, and he things the tether and they go
Oh,
floating off.
yeah.
And it was the same kind of lifeboat. I'm
That
sure it
always
was.
made me really fucking anxious because wait, did I have this conversation with you just recently?
Don't think so.
The bit where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to bang this lady, so I'll let the rope slide off, and you guys can just go away."
Yeah.
Tintin, Cigars of a Pharaoh. There's a bit where Tintin
You were
wakes
talking
up
about
in a
this on
sarcophagus.
stream.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So life rafts or things not being, because I remember reading that Tintin where they both wake up in a sarcophagus.
Yeah.
And they're getting further apart. And even when I was reading, I was like, "Yo, tie something together, though.
Yeah.
Tie something together because you're floating apart."
Yeah.
And so, like, just letting the mooring slip
Right.
at the end of James Bond, I was just like, "Oh no, you're going to float away." I don't like it. It reached.
You've got to think about the sea, though.
Mate, I don't like the sea, but like reading
yeah.
that in Cigars of Pharaoh, like I was like, "Oh, I'm Tintin anxious."
Yeah, it was me screaming at you. It was Dr. Sarcophagus.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because I was like, "Yo, him and Calculus be in those sarcophagus."
right.
Oh, yeah.
No, you were having that conversation with somebody else.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after that,
He goes back to London.
yeah, and that's when he and 007 are now together. That's when they have that whole meeting where everyone's miserable.
Yep.
And he's really moody. And doesn't he just basically tell Bond to get out? Like, you're done, Bond. Is that where he's just like,
I think so. Yeah.
walk away? Yeah, he's just like, "Oh, this desk is either looking bigger or you're looking smaller."
Yep.
And he's just like,
And they have that whole antagonism.
he's like, "Oh, you're bloody thirsty."
Yeah.
But he's kind of just pointing out, you know, you're fucked, and you know you're the cause of this.
That's it.
Look at you.
Yeah.
So they have a little argument. He steps out, goes for dinner with Q. Q is wearing a cashmere sweater. Cashmere sweaters look lovely, but if they catch the sunlight, they are unfurling, and there's bits and fur everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And he was getting lit up.
Did you catch the brief mention that Q's gay?
Yo, I did, but I can't even tell you what that was.
It was the something like he's coming round in 20 minutes or something like that.
Was that it?
It was
Do you know,
something
'cause
along those lines. Yeah.
I did pick that up, but like I couldn't tell you. I could not put my
You
finger
can tell
on
you
it.
what. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Does
No,
Q ever look like a 55-year-old playing a 25-year-old? Because in Spectre, where he meets Q,
yeah.
isn't there something really weird? Like, there's only like a 5 or 6 year age gap between the two actors or something. And one of them looks like a kid and the other one looks like Daniel Craig.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I could sworn.
Maybe I made it up in my head. I was like, "Yo, James Bond lore, everybody."
Right.
The actor who plays Q is
Are
really old.
you pushing your script on us again?
It's the same film, but Q's older. That's all I want.
No,
We won't dig up Lawrence. No, Mikey.
Lawrence.
Wait. Oh no! Oh my God! I've just confused the actor who plays Q with Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen from Changing Rooms.
Wow.
Sorry.
What is happening here?
Sorry.
Jesus.
What's the name of the actor who plays Q? Who played Q?
Desmond Llewellyn.
Okay, you can see where I was.
Yes.
Desmond Llewellyn,
Yes.
Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen. You can see what I did.
Because we've done this enough.
Okay, validated.
I do know what you're
I'm still wrong, but my wrongness is valid.
Yeah,
For my
you're wrong.
what I was doing.
If that's wrong, I don't want to be right. You know. Yeah, that's
Okay.
yeah.
sorry.
So I know where you're coming from. So that was just. It's always a funny thing when they do that because I'm like, okay, does Q, in his function, really need to have his sexuality identified in the first place?
Yeah.
Okay, you've done that. Fair enough. Now, is it a good thing to only give it a brief mention, like it's no fucking big deal at all? Or should they have made a bit more of that? I can never pick a side of the fence in that regard.
I think not. I think mentioning it and not doing anything else to write it into their conversation was probably the right move.
Okay.
Like, if it gives you enough to be like, "Oh, okay, he's gay," and that's not the point of them being at his house.
No,
it's.
I mean, but the whole point of introducing a thing like that is okay. At a certain point, hopefully in some future time, it'll be so not irrelevant, but it'll be such a moot point, you know, because sexuality is so fluid at that point. It's just like, well, who cares?
Okay,
you know, that's what is.
I have a devil's advocate counter to this.
Yeah.
You're perceiving that he's gay in there in order to pronounce that because it's a good thing to do for the character. It's a good thing to have in cinema.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we've got a gay character in there because loads of people are gay and get that representation going.
Yeah.
What if the whole point of him waiting to have someone for dinner and that being a guy isn't so that we can know that he's gay? What if that was literally just written into his character, but we're still talking about it through the lens of the film deciding to put it in for that reason? What if we now we're not a super woke world, obviously,
no.
but what if in terms of the writing of that movie, it was already there? Like when you just say one day in the future, blah blah blah, it won't be a thing. What if it wasn't a thing in the context of how it's written and what it's put in, but we're still deciding whether it is or isn't a thing because we're still seeing it as them choosing to do that, for a better future.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind
of arguing a devil's advocate.
Yeah,
no,
and I appreciate that. I'm never decided whether it's a good thing or not to give it just lip service, or whether it should have been like, if you're going to introduce a point like that, let's see the gay relationship in there. Let's see. You're never going to watch. Was it Moon? You're never going to watch Moon and be like, yeah, but like, were we just making him gay for the hell of like being woke sounding? Right. You're just like, oh, that is integral to the entire story. Right. Yeah. But this obviously wasn't, I guess. So they had too much to do anyway.
So that's it. Like every moment we've got a character who's just like, oh, my husband will be home. Every throwaway straight line that goes nowhere. Like we're still not reading into that with the exact same perception of every gay line, gay throwaway mentioned.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We're still noting it.
That's it. Yeah.
But you know, a million years in the future, maybe not. You know, the Forever War covered that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So that's just a side jump. Gone down. Just a curious topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So he goes to Q's house. They have the dinner, and this is where he says, "Look, get me into Blofeld." No.
All right.
Get me into C. Blofeld.
Very important.
In prison. Yeah, sorry, I didn't frame that very well.
Q, I heard you're into this sort of thing. I hear you're the man to come to.
I hear you like older, disfigured men.
Yeah.
Right. I need your help with this.
Okay.
When he went to see Blofeld, what happened? Because I nodded off.
Right, okay. It was probably because it's all miserable.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if it happens there. There's another bit that's another nod to Dr. No somewhere around about that point. And the next shot is Bond. Now they're going to... Because after whatever that conversation is, after the scene they have with meeting Blofeld, when they're now officially working, Bond has a blue suit on, which I think again is a nod to another Sean Connery suit, and it happens just after another throwback-ish kind of reference.
Okay, possibly. Wow, I've missed all these references. I've got no idea.
There's like it's not the exact same cut, but like I think I don't want to say maybe it's Dr. No, but Sean Connery wears like a light, and I'm not talking about like a summer pale blue, but he wears like a not navy blue, like a solid blue suit at one point. Oh, I don't know if it's Dr. No. Anyway, I know I might be reading into it, but they decide that they need to go visit Blofeld. I can't remember if something happens in between. They go back to M's office, and this time they're just like, he knows that Bond's staying around your house, Q. And Q's like, oh, Bond, funny to see you here. And like, no, go do the thing. Mm-hmm. You're going to work together. Tanner's going to debrief you. Q's... Oh my god, I'm faint. Oh, I've just given myself like a light-headed moment.
See, now you've brought me into that headspace.
Yeah, you're trapped there. Sorry.
Crusty wants out. Right, carry on. So, yeah.
We cut back over. We cut back over to Bond's ex, Madeleine.
Madeleine, yeah.
Madeleine.
Yeah.
And she has another, you've got a new person who wants to be your psychiatry subject.
Yes,
it's another
and it's
trained killer, and
yeah,
that's slowly
it's the guy. it's him that
Rami Malek.
Yeah, from the opening scene.
And that was all serviceable enough and interesting enough. I was fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
His weirdness and all that sort of stuff, okay. And she's obviously balancing between keeping it professional just in case this is just a weird chat.
Yeah.
But we're getting more and more towards my own personal history.
Mm-hmm.
Use this spray. And oh no, we're gonna no. And then when her and Bond get together, Bond tries to go for the whole professional handshake vibe.
Mm-hmm.
First time they've seen each other after 5 years.
Weird, it's awkward.
I feel like Bond didn't know in that scene. Like that felt like really well put together because it felt like Bond didn't know what to do. Went professional. She obviously shut him down, and then as he kind of like stood there and he curled up his hand, it felt like he went away, and I felt like he'd gone back behind like a wall, and it was just like, he was stung, and he doesn't know what to do, and he kind of like, because they have a shot where they both then stand together in the elevator, and he just looks at her a little bit and then looks again forward, and he's like, I've got nothing else for this. I don't know how to do other things. I really want to reach out and communicate and talk to this woman that I obviously still love, but all I've got is going back behind my wall. So he just stands there just over her shoulder. So I thought that was really good. And then basically just a quick reminder is we have a 15-minute sequence where Blofeld is trolleyed out in a cage.
Right.
And
he's Hannibal Lecter.
The context is she's got the death virus. Bond grabs her arm. She doesn't want to be party to Blofeld's murder after all and exits. Bond's still in there. And this is where it kind of unraveled for me because obviously this is how to put it. This didn't feel like a high-tension Tarantino conversation.
Right, yeah.
Because the main crux is, as Blofeld's cage comes over, it starts to open up so that it can be as touchy-feely as you like.
Okay.
And the issue is, how close is Bond going to get? Is Bond going to touch Blofeld? And because I was aware of that, I ignored it and I focused on their conversation. And their conversation relied entirely on you being tense about whether or not Bond's going to touch him.
Right.
And it went nowhere.
Right, okay.
And I was just like, oh no.
Okay.
To the bit where he's like, die, I wish you die. And it's just like, oh. Right. And then Blofeld dies off camera over his shoulder.
Right.
Because he's like, yo, Bond, get a grip. You've broken the one rule. You don't go grabbing the prisoner. And then they turn around and he's already dead. And you're just like, and so goes Ernst Stavro Blofeld, head of Spectre.
Right.
Now, to be fair, last time he was dropped down a chimney from a helicopter, so 50-50.
No, that was
technically not Spectre.
That was Franz Davro. Slowfeld.
All I remember is you could only see the back of a bald head.
Right. Yeah. That was definitely not Blofeld.
But there you are now. Now he's out, and I don't know. I was just like, oh wow, they're having to sweep this all away real quick.
Very quickly. Yeah.
And again, I've got no time to mull over.
No, right? Because we got to just move on to the next thing.
Now, I think afterwards might be, I'm not 100% sure, because she runs away, doesn't she?
Yeah, so he goes after her.
So this is where I went for a wee, and I came back in to the scene of him with a kid.
Yeah.
And she goes, it's not yours.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to make any noise, but I instantly realised the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because we've had introduced a virus which affects family members. She said, this isn't your daughter. And I thought they were going to play up much more that the child definitely wasn't his. So that at the very end, when he's like, I can't come near you, she could be like, you can't come near her either. And therefore we get our big kind of reveal.
Yeah.
And instead we get it implied, then spelt out even more across 3 different conversations.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, you lost me at spelt out 1.
Yeah, right. Yeah, pretty much.
Let alone spelt out number 3 with Q.
And do you know what? It lost me the moment they introduced the kid. I was like, here we go. You know, we cannot, even Bond cannot avoid the trap of kiddies.
So I think it's a necessary thing to have, because spoiler alert for the bit we haven't mentioned this whole time. Because in this film they have to kill Bond.
Yeah.
And they have to give him some hope, and that has to be the hope of he's hit a child.
It went a little bit Logan, didn't it?
Yeah. There's that's what it feels like.
Yeah. Right.
It went very Logan. He had to have a little bit of light in his life for things that he's never considered or been able to consider this entire time, because he's had his scenarios surrounding him manufactured to always push away the ones he loves.
Right.
And yet still at the very end of it, he has a child and a positive thought. And a love for a beautiful thing. So no. I'm okay with them needing to have a kid.
I did.
For that ending.
Yeah, no. I understood the context of the kid in order for him to die. What I didn't want...
So spoiler alert, the kid kills him. I understood the need of a kid. Also, okay, one quick side question. That,
yeah.
Well done, because I didn't see it coming. There's a bit really early on where they're talking with M.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally thought to myself, that's Chekhov's supercar. If you're going to show a supercar and a wind turbine in 3 different shots during this scene, somebody's going to drive it later. We never saw that car again. I was like, okay, well done. I was expecting supercar. It's a fucking lovely Aston. Instead comes up.
Yep.
But no supercar wind turbine.
No supercar. No. I totally forgot about that. Well done. No, the thing is, you introduce the kid, it's just, it's an easy sort of buy-in. It's like, oh yeah, he's got more agency because there's more at stake, because now there's a child involved. And I just didn't need that again. I didn't need that easy buy-in.
I just thought it was going to be used better. I was like, to appreciate the moment they say it's not his kid and we've got a virus which is going to prove otherwise, and the only way to prove it is by revealing you can't come near her or some shit. I was like, oh, that's gonna really fuck him up. That is like another horror. And I was like, that's gonna be a real deep cut for him towards the end of this movie.
Yeah,
because I didn't quite realise he was gonna kick the bucket entirely.
I suspected that's where it was going, and I only suspected that's where it was going because I'm like, this is his last one, and this, unlike the other Bond films, this has been one continuing story. What do you do to wrap that up and let it be reboot for the next guy? Oh, you kill him off. I sort of guessed that might be where it's coming, and I thought, ooh, we could have genuine stakes this time. We could really feel it, because they can do that. They can push it that far. See, when it got to that point, I just think Marvel managed to handle that better in Endgame. Yeah, for sure.
They had a Disney manufactured ultimate cute child to play that role.
They definitely did,
and she came out of a test tube based on cute data.
Yeah,
that's really cute. But and to be fair, you've got the sad charisma of the Tony Stark character to play off, which is a lot easier to work with.
But you've also had a much longer arc. You've had the journey as opposed to skipping chapters to get to the end.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we haven't had enough of the right side of Bond for that bittersweet lament to have been a big enough.
That's it. I understand. The bringing him. The problem is, I didn't buy their relationship in Spectre. I didn't buy how quickly they fell in love in the first place, which sort of then undermines this one, because it's okay, I understand her as a need to bring out everything that he's hidden away as a result of Vesper.
I mean, I kind of bought I'm really sorry to interrupt, but just so that you can continue. I kind of did buy that relationship in the bits where they really weren't meeting together was almost the understanding of because she's got the same shit and experience inside that I have to a more or less degree, and that's why I know we are working together, or some kind of meta like that.
Yeah,
sorry, man.
I never. It felt like that was rushed. All of a sudden she was in love with him. I'm going, why though?
Oh yeah, actually, do you know what? Like, it kind of went from "Why are you still pursuing me?" to "I'm going to erase his memories of you," and she's like, "Yo, don't forget me," or "I love you," or something.
Right.
And
it was a bit like, 0 to 60, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's so is that fucking chair. By the way, I've got a chair with one really weird function. I'm just going to drill tiny drill holes, and I've got this whole setup.
Yeah.
And it's all, mate, just overworked, over-designed.
Yeah, it was a bit. And so this being the sort of...
Imagine somebody walking out of a golf room and be like, I thought that laser was a bit over-designed. I'm going to be honest. You're right. Could have had a table saw.
Right, yeah. But it was just that being the backbone of this, I didn't really buy into it. And so, yeah, it was just beginning to... At that point, it was really beginning to fall apart for me.
When she was like, "It's not yours," and she was like, "Oh, I'm following Happy McSmile a lot. He's in Norway." And she's like, "Don't follow me." When he looks at the two of them, I thought like he was going to look at the two of them and then like look on the kitchen counter and there'd be like a photo of all three of them or something.
Right.
Because she was like, "It's coming to you," and I was like, "He's the dad?" And I was like, "She's married back into Spectre. What's going on?" And then they were just like, next thing they're getting in a van.
Yeah, no, never.
Not in the 1980s. I've got nothing to declare except for cellos.
Oh yeah, right, okay.
That 80s Aston Martin is a beautiful car, and I don't particularly care for cars.
No,
but that's a fucking
it's a gorgeous car,
beautiful machine.
Yeah.
Living Daylights.
Yes,
Living Daylights.
Yes, well done, well spotted.
So it's after he gets that. There's a shot where he's driving. He pulls the tarpaulin off the Living Daylights car, drives to MI5, walks up. That's when he's wearing the blue suit. Circa another Sean Connery.
Right.
When he has a little interaction where he's like, "Bond," and he's like, "Bond who?" He's like, "James Bond."
James Bond. And he's just...
Sorry, but yeah, he's vibing in... That's when he's vibing in enough of reference suit, I think, question mark.
Okay.
So anyway, we jump all the way back. So they're there. She's not your daughter. Spoiler alert. Incoming trouble. When they're driving along the road and they pass for two cars, I honestly thought that they were going to get away with that, and I would have loved it.
Right.
I would have loved we would have just had a James Bond moment if we'd waited any longer.
Right.
But because we fucking moved, we've got that head start. They've passed us. Here's the whisper away from the danger we were about to have.
Okay.
Obviously,
no, I would have loved that, actually. That would have been much more interesting than what we got.
Yeah, because if they'd done that and then gone to a safe house or gone to another scene, that anxiety would be like hanging over them. But it was released instantly because it had to, obviously, and I'm not deducting points or anything here, just a thought, but it's instantly resolved in that they've turned around and now it's going to lead to a chase scene. Whereas the anxiety that comes with being hunted is like a big build-up. It's a big thing that you could also choose to tap into. Yeah. But then the film would be a million years long.
Yeah. And it was already fucking a good couple of ice ages.
He does a good bit of James Bonding, a little bit of distraction. So they have a little Bond car fight, and then a million Land Rovers plus helicopter leap out of the woods. Yeah, very grandiose.
I liked the leap shot. I thought that was great. I wasn't
again. You got some great camera work. You got mounted cameras like on jeeps following motorbikes. Yeah, all sorts of shit.
But apart from that, like reveal when they all come out, I was not particularly engaged with most of that. To be honest, I thought it was just pretty standard. And it's maybe just because I was really falling out of the film.
To be fair, when the first two Land Rovers get knocked off, they're wide shots to take in the entirety of the stunt, but they're kind of big, flat feeling shots. Yeah. There wasn't much dynamic camera work.
No, nothing particularly.
It's kind of, the camera work was as tired as we were by then, until like they get into the woods. And this is where, like, I keep talking about, like, it all gets a bit dreamy and weird. And I think it's because I keep zoning in and out. Right. But they're in the woods. I was like, oh, yeah, there's ferns everywhere. And he's like, yo, wait here. So she's going to wait in the one place people are going to go investigate. Instead of, like, lie flat and quietly anywhere. Right. And wait in the house where they're going to come to.
The really obvious bit, yeah.
But, there's a bit of distraction. He does a bit of bonding. So, in terms of, like, pulling out a wire and doing something clever.
Yeah.
Using something to his advantage. But the whole, like, I'm about to get crushed by the van. I'm going to let the van crush you. What is that indicative of another scene? Not just the grabbing onto the tie and falling off. But I feel like there's something where Bond pushes or closes something that fucks a guy over. But it's a similar vibe.
Yeah.
I've got the info. You need it. Nah, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all okay, and then she's kidnapped, and I'm thinking to myself, good, we must be in the final act by now.
Right, yeah, we must be getting to the finale.
Now, by the way, there are really good bits to this film, but like, you know, it's something in the morning after a midnight showing. So like, I'm starting to remember my lethargy whilst watching it now. So he's like, okay, here's my island, and he's hardcore Dr. No referencing everything.
Yeah, and I was waiting for it building up to I am Dr. No.
Yeah. I was like, if he's Dr. No, I think I might be back in.
You're right. Like, yeah, I was waiting. I was honestly waiting for that. The same way they did Blofeld. No, thinking that might buy me back in, but also thinking it hasn't really earned it.
Yeah, but like, so first early shots. When he's just talking about the virus and he's talking to the doctors, they've even got the aprons that they've got, and the pinafores or whatever, are really cheap white see-through plastics, the hazmat suits and shit. Yeah. And I was like, okay, we've got all the Asian influences. That's where all the white bone china and teapots and stuff was kind of coming from in the intro titles, referencing the fact that it's referencing Dr. No. Okay, I see it. And then it just goes on until they have that meeting where Bond does a Wonder Woman speech,
right?
And he's like, "No, I believe in good and love, and people like us can't be monsters. And
Jesus,
we have to." And I'm waiting for it to pull out. I'm waiting for Bond to be like in a hurricane of emotion, holding on to the Wonder Woman cord wrapped around Dr. No. Right. I beseech you to learn to love again and not mass murder the people. We can't be agents of good. And and I was just like, and fucking. Like, after everything that we've kind of gone through with interesting characters, like, especially Skyfall, the other rat on the island kind of vibe. Yeah. And this guy boils down to, Spectre killed my family, I've now killed Spectre, I'm going to pick up the old poison trade, I'm going to kill the majority of the world without destroying the infrastructure, because people want to be killed whilst they're looking the other way. Right. I'm bringing around a cleaner future. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, that's so bad and vague. It was like, do you know what I mean? Like, what are you saying, man? And it felt like he didn't know what his own end game was.
Yeah.
I'm just doing this thing.
It felt like a much paler version of villains we've already sat through in the Craig era.
Yeah, and I was like, what's the point? Like, is this linked to your trauma? Do you have like a thing afterwards where there's a world that's thankful for you doing this? It's just like people want to not see death coming.
It basically felt like if you speak softly and say a lot of grandiose sort of verbiage, then you're a villain.
Yeah.
Without there being anything to back it up at all, really. I just did not buy into him at all.
Garden of Poisonous Plants is a reference to You Only Live Twice. Do you know where? I'm being really cruel, by the way, right now. Do you know where in You Only Live Twice for his garden is a reference?
No.
It's in the book.
Oh, is it really? Okay, yeah. I've not read that.
So, I knew this was like this is another geek one. So, in You Only Live Twice, Blofeld lives on an occupied Japanese castle.
Oh, right.
And the castle grounds. And he's filled the garden with poisonous plants to stop anyone casually just being able to come in a very general sense.
Okay, yeah.
And the problem is this isn't treated terribly in the book, but obviously this is quite a sensitive topic, so I'm just noting the sensitivity of it before I steamroll on with the rest of my sentence.
Yeah.
Not, to just be aware. But, in terms of Japanese culture, it then becomes a famous place to commit suicide. People try breaking into the grounds to die in the gardens.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that puts it on Bond's radar whilst he's pretending to be like a mute fisherman and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that was kind of like, they're doing this. And then I was just like, and I don't want to sound unappreciative of the incredible visual spectacle that's been the James Bond movies, But there's half of a yin-yang gravel circle and 5 pot plants. And one of them looked like a really big bushel of curly kale. And I was just like, he's like, I know about all of the poisons and all the plants. Look, here's all 5 I have collected.
Yeah, right.
I was like, mate, you are as good at looking after pot plants as I am. Like, that's, like, if I was doing that, I get it. But, like, this is your other big hobby when you're not doing the big murder thing.
Yeah.
You're the plant guy. I learned from my father, but I continued the hobby. Here's 5 plants that I have. I was like, mate, you've got 10 people raking gravel and 5 pot plants.
Yeah,
you look like a mess.
So they spent all the budget on the building. They couldn't get the extras in.
Like, in terms of the grand scope of things, his garden was pathetic.
Yeah. Oh, that was bullshit. Yeah.
And like, he's like, this is the plant that makes you behave. And she's like, oh, I remember this plant. This is, he really wants you to drink this tea. And it's just, it all was a bit contrived. But I was kind of like, okay, tea culture in Asian society. But he sent her off to a room with an armed guard to make her drink the tea.
Right.
You can administer whatever
want to her. I was never really getting on board with, like, okay, what is in the tea? Why is it so important that she drinks the tea? If he's going to let her live.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it's referencing the foxgloves that you saw in her office or something.
Maybe.
But it was just okay.
It was just a bit vague.
Everything was getting a bit vague because then there's people in suits wading water around.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, okay, what's the guy in the suit wading around in the water in the middle of the garden versus the guys downstairs?
Isn't the water poisoned as well?
Yeah, like, but it turns out it's just a pond. And then so when they're just oh my god, there we go, fucking hell, I didn't realise I was so nasally.
Yeah.
When they're just like, okay, this down here is the factory. No, this down there is a farm. This up here is the factory. And there's just lots of blood samples and tubes and walls. And I'm just like, okay, it's all bad, fine. It's all
right.
And
but it was never. It was never really clear bad for me. It was never like this is. It never seemed. It seemed like it was being really convoluted and never taking the time to actually spell out what the fuck was going on.
They had to.
Or was I just
no. Like it was. There was no idea until they went up to a computer.
Yeah.
And the computer confirmed through projected deaths, oh, he's releasing a virus everywhere and he's going to kill off loads of people indiscriminately.
Okay.
He's a mass murdering kind of guy, and that's why we need to destroy the whole island.
Okay, yeah.
We don't have enough bombs. There was big like frozen CO2 or hydrogen tanks that reminded me a bit of GoldenEye. By then I was just like, oh, it's so...
The stuff with the guys in this sort of semi-hazmat suits that you were talking about with the big glowing stick things that and that was like, ooh, are they nuclear? Are we? And this was another Dr. No visual.
Like, I was happy for Dr. No not to be doing the nuclear thing.
Yeah, but it was another sort of callback, another
long
visual.
As he was Dr. No.
Yeah, and I was like, just be fucking Dr. No then.
But it was kind of like, Spectre's finished by a whimpering, not as a character, but like it's finished with a whimper. The person who finished off Spectre is just a super not massively well defined guy. Like, I get his connection, I get his drive to kill Spectre. I had no understanding of what his drive was to continue, other than I'm now crazy bad, and I see the world as a place that wants to be half wiped out.
Right.
Not like in terms
Thanos.
of. I mean, Thanos made more sense, obviously, but like even fucking Moonraker made more sense. Like, at least I'm gonna land and have a perfect society.
The Aryan fucking brotherhood, essentially.
But this guy's just like, I just kill. Look, people want to be killed deep down, and it's like people, and it's one of those like, it was like he was trying to be as good as the other bad guy.
Yeah.
Bond, people like you and me, no, and it's like, don't you people like you and me with Bond.
But that's what I mean about the style of dialogue that they gave him. And his performance is just like, just be softly spoken and say this, and it will mark you out as a villain without us really trying to craft you.
And so, like, the meta is that he's more than willing to kill the child in front of him.
Right, yeah.
And so, like, situationally wise, that's why it was okay for Bond to kowtow, because it was an Asian setting conveniently, but then reach for another gun. And it's just like... Why is anybody buying this? Why is anybody buying Bond's kowtow?
There's not one moment that I believed it because
nobody does. Nobody, of course, because we all expect that. And I'm going to be honest, I'm angry that he doesn't expect that. Yeah. But I guess he does because he's got a collapsing floor.
Right.
I don't know.
Because you always need a collapsing floor.
Yeah, by then I'm just like, just get to the bit where I get to leave.
Without me? You leave me in there.
Yeah, this is on you.
Mikey gets to leave.
So really quick side note is I bought a mask just in case people were wearing masks at the cinema, or it's like really good etiquette because we're obviously off the back of COVID. And it turned out I had a use for it. When Ken Ven's Saturday his obligatory massive fucking stinking hot dog, I got to put on that mask and it genuinely helped.
Did it really?
Just sitting there next to you, just wearing a face mask, I was like, this is what they're for. This is it. This is what COVID has prepared me for.
I was just testing how effective yours was. I didn't actually want that hot dog.
I felt safer. I felt like my temple was being less defiled the entire time.
That's beautiful, man.
But then I'm going to bring this to the next time. I'm bringing this for June because I know what you like with your hot dogs.
Well, it depends if we do a midnight screening for June or not. But it's because it was the lack of prepreparedness.
No,
as well.
we don't have to. As long as the seats are good, I'll watch it whenever.
I mean, I'll keep you posted. But
when's that coming out? I might be doing
22nd.
Okay. Anyway, let's get right back to Bond before we have these digress.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you've got a Bond. You have to open the blast doors. Oh no! And it's almost like, no, Bond, the handle's broken. Someone has to stay behind and hold the doors open.
It went a bit Armageddon or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very much.
Don't hear be reminded of that.
So I was like, this is where I was just caught in that crux because, when again, like he runs back and then Remy's just like, bang, got you. You've really been making a mess, and then he just walks really near him and then Bond fights him and he breaks the thing, and then and he's just like, there you go, Bond, you see now, no love, no kissing, no touching, and it's just like, I got it.
Yeah.
And then Bond's like wiping his face for a bit, and he's really working his motions to the camera. He's like, yes, now you see, Bond, now you see you've gotten the poison thing, but you can't go near your wife and daughter.
James Bond changing. But... Do you see?
It's James Bond before. Do you see? It's James Bond becoming.
Yeah, but sorry, before that, when Cyclops comes at him, the way he took him out.
Oh shit! I forgot about that entire sequence. Okay,
right.
Now that was a great fun thing.
Yeah.
But here's my asshole kicking in.
Go on then.
The moment he does that, the moment he uses the EMP device, which breaks all electronic devices,
yeah,
they instantly talk to him on his earpiece radio, and I'm just like,
okay, yeah,
that's very selective.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
No,
that was a nice way to go.
It's very convenient,
cool.
But it was a fun moment that didn't belong in that film.
And that had come off the back of, so they did like a like obviously there's a few cheeky cuts in there, but they went for like a long cut up the stairs.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realise it was happening till halfway through. And the grenade comes down.
Yeah.
Bond chucks one up.
Oh yeah, and then a load of them come down. I was like, that was cool.
And after, like visually, just seeing that rhythm was interesting.
Yep.
But like those 3 grenades, the one that he threw up takes out the entire floor. 3 grenades come down, and it's Commando again.
Yeah.
When they throw the grenades go pop, and he just dives to the side. Right. And then when he gets up, you've got that long scene where he's going up. And
sorry to interrupt.
No,
have we hit the point that I laughed at and I made you laugh?
Oh my god, what did you laugh at? It was like a stupid comment or a stupid joke that Bond made or somebody made. And you loved it. And you literally just went, like, you weren't laughing with it, but you were laughing at how dumb it was, but you were laughing, but you liked it.
Okay.
And you were just like, and I can't remember what it was.
I thought it was, so it was a line of dialogue as opposed to a visual thing.
It was a stupid quip or a remark or something. It might have been like a visual thing, but it was clearly meant to be a joke, and you just ate it up.
Right.
But then you did that, I was like, and I was just like, when you did that, I was like, but like somebody opposite, because I was sitting by the aisle rows, somebody opposite and a couple chairs down after your laugh, then started laughing at
it. Okay, so we've passed that point.
Because if you probably noticed, Ken's voice travels quite far.
It does. I mean, if I hum on the ground, you will feel it. No, if I just lean on the pavement.
Ladies love him. Always gardening now. Always sitting down.
Always gardening. It's better than a washing machine.
Ah. Before we get too filthy,
Yeah.
so we're in the end bits,
Yes,
and
we're in the end bit,
he's had this dialogue of it, and he's just like, "Oh, you've made such a mess to my plan to be evil."
You're right. Yeah.
Shoots him dead. So disregards him with a shot.
But it was just.
So, and Rami Malek's character death, and I get that he was a pretty crap character, and it's not the point of him anymore.
No.
He's played his part.
Uh-huh.
But he's shot so dismissively, the same way the film dismissively took out all the Spectre agents
Right.
and took out
Yes.
Blofeld.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, what does any of this matter?
No, the only way that I can make peace with that is the fact that it was, by that point, everything was becoming quite redundant for me. If he had had some sort of spectacular finish, it would have sat at odds with the rest of the bit running up to that. The fact that it was so matter of fact, it was just like, well, at least tonally it's consistent.
Okay.
You know. But it was because he was built up. The way people talk about him and stuff, he was built up to be this great villain. But I never felt he was a great villain. If he had turned out to be a great villain and been killed off like that, I would have been pissed off. But as it turned out, by that point, it was just like, okay, much like yourself, let's just get to the point where
his overarching kind of involvement, it's like, it just, obviously he's bookending, but like, he sits for one meeting with the lady, and then he turns up to take her away at the end. And I never really felt that his hand was reaching in to affect the plot as much.
No.
Because we were following just the annoying doctor doing the switcheroo, not him orchestrating it.
Right.
So we get towards the end, and this is why it didn't quite work for me, is that one of the most painful things is the whole, you literally are a threat to the life of your wife and your daughter now. You've just realised they've come into your life, and you can never physically be near them ever again. You can't even be in the same town unless you shake hands with somebody who she ends up working with. Also, you're still stuck on the island that's about to be blown up by the missiles regardless.
So you get in your boat and you ride a hurricane, and then you end up as a lumberjack.
Oh my god, is that a Superman reference?
Dexter.
Oh, I've not seen Dexter.
Oh, you've not seen Dexter?
No.
Oh shit!
I just spoiled Lumberjack arc.
Oh shit! I could have sworn you'd seen that.
No, because I was going to watch it, but I watched Hannibal, and everyone agreed that I've probably spoiled Dexter because Hannibal's so good.
Yeah. Watch the first 4 seasons.
That's exactly what I know.
Yeah.
I've heard to stop at season 4.
Yeah, stop at season 4. Okay, skip that.
So basically, I thought like that would be more of a fuck up for Bond, or a real emotional like digger that would have come in earlier.
Yeah, and where I thought it was going at that point was that he was going to go, like, we were going to see him just wander off into the wilderness by himself, and this was going to be like,
yeah. So then I thought he was gonna let them think he was dead.
Yeah.
Because he might as well be, instead of the pain of FaceTiming her, it's easier for him, having just realised that she's in her life, to walk away from the both of them to save
right.
them.
Yeah.
But he's already going to die on the island. So it's just like, you could have, regardless, I've had to keep the rocket doors open. You know, she's beautiful. I'm so glad I knew that she even existed. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye then.
But I can't come near you.
Yeah.
But I'm already here regardless of because of the rocket situation.
Yeah.
So like, either he could have left the island and made it, but that situation occurred.
But not being able to reconcile that.
Yeah, and then, do you know what I mean? Like, the decision was already taken away.
Yeah.
The impact. You will never be able to touch your daughter again because of this. Well, that doesn't really matter, because even if you hadn't done that, the rocket.
Right.
So it's just like, oh, okay. But, you know, you had the Bond smiling at the sunset, and he's facing them, and they're facing him on the other side of the bay.
Yeah.
So that was beautifully shot, and then you've got the... And then everyone's miserable over a glass of whiskey, and I get to leave. I get to leave the cinema.
Yeah. And they play We Have All the Time in the World again. As if you didn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to...
oh, no.
I'm going to tell you
this
a story.
Is it. Okay, no, one quick thing.
Fuck.
Bond's talking on the phone with her. They're having their final goodbye.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, there's still time. And Bond is almost looking at the camera, because it's a tight close-up shot right in his face.
Yep.
And he's... Obviously, the line is like, we have all the time in the world or something. And I swear to God, he was almost going to go, but we have no time to die. And I thought he was going to look at the camera.
Roll credits.
I was literally just like, don't you dare.
I was waiting on somebody saying that every time they mentioned time. I was like, you know, it was gonna lead in, and I totally know what you're saying. You know, like, what have you to a kid? It was gonna head down that route. Yeah, no, they skipped that, thankfully, but it was Then we got, you know, we have all the time in the world again, and I'm gonna tell you a story of a man named Bond. Oh, really? Though?
Shot to the kid going, wow, I'm so interested. Man.
Yeah, I'm really like super fascinated by this story.
And that was like, I mean, I'm assuming that was that a reference to 60s Bond, in that she's driving a car like this, looking at her kid, and like everything's going at 100 miles an hour past the windshield. And it's almost like a dream sequence because it's just bright, white, blurry light coming into the car. And she's like, I'm just going to take my eyes off the road, darling, and rock the steering wheel from side to side.
Don't worry about it, though. You know, I'm sure there's no obstacles coming. And then we got to leave.
Then we got to leave.
And I just felt...
It wasn't like bittersweet. It just felt horrible.
And it didn't actually... Do you know what the horrible thing is? It didn't feel satisfying. It didn't feel like a good send-off.
No.
For that era.
Like, in terms of the references and stuff, they did really well. A lot of the score is really good. A lot of the beats were really good. But I think this film shined way more on paper than it did in execution. And this felt like a Bond movie where he dies. Yeah. As opposed to the end of the Bond series.
Right, yeah.
Because
the end of this particular run.
The film didn't hold any of the gravitas for all the big characters that were in it, all the big bad that was there.
Right,
was dealt with almost dismissively. Here's Felix, bang. Here's Blofeld,
bang.
Blah.
Here's Spectre,
bang.
Gone. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but like, you've got to then get somewhere. But by the end of it, it's like, here's the bad guy of this one. Bang.
Right.
And it's like, okay, what have we got? We've got Bond having an emotional farewell to, what's her name? Having a moment of, oh, that's what it feels like, Circle Logan. And then a big explosion. Yeah. And then, you know, another dusty room full of miserable people who hung out with him once.
Right.
And it's just like, ugh, like, Logan ended on the X. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was just, this is what I mean. I didn't need this kind of reverential attitude towards Bond, of all people. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't mind the close five still, because they've been through enough at the end of
the whole somberness of it, I guess. You know, the melancholy, as you said, the melancholy.
Like, were they aiming for a slightly different tone and accidentally hit on kind of dour and melancholy by accident?
Maybe.
Where they were aiming for gravitas.
Right. But I felt... Excuse me. Even when you had the gravitas in Skyfall, when M died, I mean, I felt that. I definitely registered that when she bit it. Still not getting in the way of it being Bond and being fun. This didn't feel a lot like a Bond movie to me.
The closest was a super capable hot Colombian, little bit of chat.
Yeah.
But it felt like overworked almost.
Yeah.
She just played it just a touch too much.
I know.
She could have done it. She could have communicated the exact same character and pulled it in just a little bit and made it fit within the Bondness.
Definitely, yeah. It just tipped slightly, you know, past that point. Yeah. And I just didn't come out with any pump. I didn't come out with any like real emotional like hit. I mean, I was sitting there as the credits
I'm gonna watch this again when it's available at home, and I'm gonna watch it with a full belly and an afternoon to really sit down with it. Sure, as a double check.
Yeah, definitely. But, I think that will inform on it a little bit
midnight
differently.
Screening after my Malwam dinner. Like, I'll probably come out with sugar high. Like, I think we've kind of come to it. It's just like, okay, there's a lot going on there to have a play around with and think about, but overall, worth going to see. Get your Bond send off, absolutely. Overall, in terms of like, you know, is this a grand finale crescendo that you thought you were going to get? And I'm not really talking about Bond dying at the end. I'm just going to kind of say no. I'd built it a bit more concretely in my head from the trailer than the film ever got around to getting.
For me too. Yep, definitely. I felt like it just the villain. I just didn't understand why he got so much noise. Like, the way people kept speaking about him, it's like, Christ, we thought Blofeld was bad. This guy must be really bad, and it was just very baseline.
Yeah, and I expected it to be Fallout from Blofeld, like a forgotten number 2 who's now doing stuff or
something.
But so like I liked the third element. There's a third force at play. It's not you. It's not the CIA, and they're more effective at killing all the Spectre than you are.
Right.
And they've just done it. What the fuck do you think is going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, it never crescendoed into anything palpable.
No, not at all. It's a real shame. It's a real sad note to leave the Craig era on, and not just sad as in the tone of the film, but sad in like I didn't feel remotely satisfied by that.
Yeah, just the car driving off into the tunnel. I guess that was supposed to be evocative of the James Bond barrel sequence. But the car just drove into the tunnel, and the tunnel just faded and zoomed out vaguely in the black canvas on the cinema screen. Yeah. Not definitely anywhere, just kind of...
Would have been fucking great if it was like one of those Acme paintings, and there wasn't really a tunnel there, and she just like fucking hit the wall. Do you know
something I thought about a while ago? This is an original thought. Somebody mentioned this. In some of the Pierce Brosnan barrel sequences, he fires his gun and the bullet goes all the way down the barrel of our viewpoint.
There's one.
Is it one?
I think it's Die Another Day.
Is that Die Another Day?
Yeah.
Where they added the CG bullet?
Yep.
And it indicates that he's fired his gun down your gun. That's called docking, isn't it? But you know what I mean? It literally indicates that he's fired his bullet all the way down the barrel of the gun that you are looking through.
Roger Moore does that in The Spy Who Loved Me.
He fires down the barrel of a gun?
Yeah. Remember the guy's got the big long gun under the table, and he fires it and he misses, and he's like, oh, you've shot your bolt, now it's my turn. And he fires up his gun.
Oh, yes, he does.
Yeah.
He does.
Nothing to read into that, folks. Nothing to read into that. It's just, it's not symbolic of anything.
In A View to a Kill, isn't he sleeping with his butler whilst they're undercover?
No.
Or he's just like, I can't pretend that I don't love you, Bond. I know you slept with her last night. You never came back to bed. And it's just like, oh, you know, I must do for Queen and Country. So, I'll be going to bed now. I presume you'll be joining me? Yes, I will. You know, Bond and Steed. Sorry, I don't respect that film.
It never showed. You know what? You hide your cards very well, mate. Yeah. No, that does not happen.
So I think that kind of brings us to the end, because we've actually been doing a very surprisingly long one, and I'm worn out.
I'm not surprised.
A lot to kind of process there. Not what I was expecting. I think they missed opportunities in Bond's relationship with 007 and playing that off more.
Yeah.
I think the execution to capture the right kind of feeling, and a lot of it was off. I think the exit of so many different characters wasn't handled particularly well.
No. Do you know what came to mind, actually?
Bond was facing a wall when Blofeld died.
Right. Alien Covenant, where they just wipe out the engineers? Just like matter-of-factly?
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, why didn't you do something with that? That was where all the juice was.
Yeah, that was it, basically. Yeah. I got those vibes again. But yeah, I think we're both kind of underwhelmed. I think this is one to revisit at another time. Give it a bit of space when it comes out. For streaming or home release or whatever. I would definitely give it another look and see if I feel differently. But initial reaction, nah.
Yeah, not super positive.
No,
but no. I'm even more tired now than when we started this podcast. When we started and sat in the car, I was like, I need to think about it.
Yeah.
Now I'm just tired and I want to go to bed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do take that into account.
Absolutely. But I would say, for me, it's tipping into the negative, mildly negative, maybe. But
I need to watch it again. But yeah, I've definitely got more criticisms than I do constructive. If I'm going to go purely 50-50, it's falling not positive.
Yeah, which is a shame. Shame to end it on.
All right, well,
Yeah.
with that bombshell, thank you very much for listening in. It's been lovely having you.
Yeah.
But won't be many more of these because it's rare that I even want to go to the cinema now. However, it's very nice to pull this one back, actually.
Yeah, it's been great being back with yourself. But stay tuned, obviously, we'll do one for June.
Fuck yeah.
That's the fight. That's the Mawam in Mikey's belly, that one.
That's the dinner I deserve.
He's just waiting for June. It's the dinner you deserve, but not the dinner you need right now.
Okay, so you lovely people, have yourselves a lovely day, evening, and or night. Thank you very much for listening in. I've been Mikey.
I've been Ken.
And take care. Bye-bye. Well, hello there, guys, and welcome to the Post-Film Podcast. My name's Mikey.
My name's Ken.
It's been a while. Welcome back. We are here to talk about spoiler-free at first.
Yeah.
And then we'll give you plenty of warning. Our thoughts on No Time to Die. We have just seen it. Sorry if the audio is terrible, but we've literally gone straight out the cinema, sat down in the car, and here we are, like old times.
It's nice to be back with you, Michael.
Yeah, no, lovely to see you again. It's good to see that you're not a figment of my imagination. It's been about 2 years.
It's been 2 years.
Fantastic.
I mean, and you don't remember how to do this anymore.
No, but we'll muddle through. So what we're going to do, guys, is I thought what we could do is spoiler-free of this film. Talk very, very briefly about the Bond films that got us here.
I think we need to give it some context.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll have a little natter about the film in a very wider sense. Then we'll give you that big spoiler warning. And we'll dive into some details and responses. No Time to Die, my pet name, as we were just mentioning, is No Time to Get Ready. Well done.
Yeah, this was a little bit sort of off the cuff. We had planned this like well in advance. And, don't ever let me plan anything. I think we've learned from this, right?
You're usually the guy who does the tickets. You do really well.
Do you know what it is? I'm so out of practice at making time for you, right? Operating on your time. And so I was actually way ahead. And I got it spectacularly wrong. And it was purely on chance that I saw that email and went, Mikey, you have an hour and a half. And it turns out that that's the key to getting you here.
Oh, that's been a secret for a while. Never tell me about something a while ahead.
No.
Catch me within a 2-hour window, and I'm either free to do it or I'm not.
Yeah.
That's how you get me to play.
And it's like,
group video games, anything.
90 minutes. This is tick, 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 tick. How quickly can you get here? And I think, you did very well.
So, as I said to Ken a bit earlier, your boy Mikey was taking an early evening for himself, little treat, lying in bed, reading a book, looking like trash, with one hand in a packet of Malwam.
Yeah, can you qualify the little treat thing?
The treat was I was having taffy for dinner, sweet taffy, and then got the message for, you actually have to go to the film tonight. And I was like, right, okay, let's have a shower, let's get up.
And I thought it was supposed to be the next night, and I was just getting ready to settle in for, the last hour before bed. And then suddenly checked my emails and said, it's just to remind you that it's tonight.
So
I have never had that before.
Don't worry, we got here. But that is the reason why we're giving you a little insight into our lives, is that's a very long way of getting around to the point of me saying, I'm coming off the James Bond films, having not watched any of them within the last 8 to 10 months.
And I watched them this week.
So I was going to do a really late kind of catch-up, which might kind of affect how we kind of have interpreted this movie.
So basically, we've fallen back into our usual rhythm already. I'm coming in armed with all the knowledge, and you're just going to ride on my coattails a little bit.
Your job is to piece the gaps together.
That's it. Look, we are as in sync as we've ever been.
My job's to keep us in focus. Now I remember.
That's it. It's like, talk about the film.